And welcome, episode 140, Redley for Retrocast Wrestling. I am JD for each and every episode since the beginning. And man, oh man, different sort of Joshi talk today, different sort of AEW talk ahead of us. We continue the All Japan Classics journey in a post-Big Egg world, but look, the Classics don't cover everything. Look forward to WrestleMarine P 94. Ooh. It's good. Possibly a 5-star match. I'll let you decide that. I will tell you all about it after the Joshi. Lots of news in the women's wrestling world. We'll get to there. New Japan had Power Struggle and Lonestar Fight. Headlined, in my eyes, by Mayu Iwatani, Stephanie Vacker. Shingo had a good match against Trent. We'll discuss that later as well. We'll see if Rickee watched it or not. She's feeling under the weather, much like I was in the prior weeks. And then we finish off with WCW. Yes, still in the year 2000. Superbrawl 2000, and possibly the worst WCW pay-per-view yet. It's quite remarkable how month after month since 1998, essentially, the company has gotten worse. It's remarkable, really. So, sports talk. Well, I've been sick, haven't been bowling. It's now November. And it's very cold outside. It drops to below 30 Fahrenheit at night. So, I don't know. I'll get out there eventually for a winter golf session for fun. Got to get the whiskey with me. But until then, I'm doing my heat experiments in the house, tending fires in the fireplace, cozying up with my cat, watching some professional wrestling, and playing some video games. That's, watching the occasional anime too. Undead Unluck is the wacky thing. I'm 6 episodes into that now. But anyways, we're here to talk some women's wrestling. And let's get into some news, because people have been talking about this. If you're here for Stardom and Tag League, unfortunately, as I record this, yes, the Tag League Finals has occurred, but because I'm doing Stardom Tag League for the Patreon, I now must wait until Stardom World uploads the remaining shows up until the finals, and then I guess that leaves me reviewing the finals for the Patreon. Because by the time the next episode rolls around, it will be Osaka Gold Rush, I believe that's what it's called, in which Tam Nakano has been pulled from the event, along with a lot of everybody being pulled for the slightest injury complaint imaginable right now, as is we're heading towards the end of the year in a hot period for Stardom as we gear up for December through March, essentially. So we'll see what happens there. So a little bit more. You know what? I'll get it out of the way now before the news. So when it comes to Stardom and Gold Rush, we now have a Sarai Ano Mirai main event. We have the wacky Mei Sarah versus Momoko Honozono high-speed match. That doesn't feel like semi-main to me. If it was up to me, and if we had a healthy Natsupoi or what have you, I'd put a hot 2 out of 3 falls tag match in that semi-main event. Really come guns blazing with the Tag League winners against a strong, legit tag team. Let's see. A random team that isn't busy on this pay-per-view that could possibly put on just a banger match against the Tag League winners. I would say, fuck it. Julia Mayu are teaming up, right? New Japan strong champions in combo to go up against the Tag League winners. 2 out of 3 falls, and I would have them go out there for 30 minutes, right? Something straight out of the 90s. Give me. That would be a good substitute for losing out on a red belt match. Okay? Now, you run the risk with my idea and the fantasy booking that I'm doing currently, you run the risk of that match really overshadowing the Wonder title match in the main event, but also it would motivate, possibly, the main event to do a little bit more and really show out. So that's just one idea out there that I think they could really go with it, but they're doing the Moneyball thing, ladder match. I would change some things up, because losing that main event, I think, hurts the pay-per-view. At least in a fandom's eyes, I still think they're going to pull anywhere from 15 to 1,800 in attendance, and if they do over 1,800, it's an amazing success in my eyes. If they do under 1,500, well, you can chalk that up for a number of different reasons, but regardless. So that we're heading to the Gold Rush. We have something there. I want to see some angles at Gold Rush. I want to see some storyline, and we got to get moving here in Stardom with some progression towards certain things here. You know, we need to get going here, is what I'm saying. But my thoughts on Tag League remain. Yes, it's been snake-bitten in more ways than one. We have a revolving story of Ami Sourei and Mirai. Hopefully, I mean, I wouldn't mind that as the end-of-year kind of match for the Wonder title, but I don't know. When you got people like Maika and Mina Shirakawa kind of hanging about, and they have wins in the 5-star over Mirai, I would go with... Hello, kitty cat. Oh, boy. Did that mess up the microphone? Go that way, kitty. Oh, my God. He is causing trouble. All right, what's he doing? Yep, you're coming. Oh, you're changing direction. I won't let you go through this way. Go around. He's behind the laptop. He's perusing the table. Come here. What are you doing? Come here. Oh my God. All right. You gonna make a decision, Kitty? You gonna sit, or are you gonna just cause mischief? Okay. Shit, where was I? I was talking about end of year Wonder title challengers. Yes. Let's get a good challenger. is basically where I'm going with that. Let's get someone you could see conceivably win, and it would make a difference. And I went over this a couple podcasts ago at the end of the 5-star that the lineup set for the Wonder title is already there. You already did a good match with Momo Watanabe. Let's keep that train rolling. And as for the red belt, it's anyone's guess at this point. What do you do with Suzu? When do you reevaluate the Tam Suzu match? Obviously, you got to do that before the Sumo Hall. Fuck it. I say flip the title. I still say Suzu should win. And then you can immediately set up a storyline with Maika as V1 or V2, and we build towards March. And I'm really loving this Maika Suzu storyline of rivalry. And let's keep that going. Okay. So I'm going to play... news. It's really short. Basically, a lot of women are becoming free agents, or there's questions surrounding them. Mercedes Moné is probably not under any sort of New Japan contract anymore. Personally, I expect she goes back to WWE. I know there's a lot of speculation that she'll go up to AEW. With the money that WWE's raking in and throwing around, even with the TKO merger, I still think she's going to go back there. Especially now that Vince McMahon's not in charge. They're highlighting the division more. I don't see why she wouldn't go back. It's not like New Japan's throwing around money to have her there, but who knows? She is a very much student of the game and lover of, women's wrestling history in Japan. And it's really like a wait and see with her. That's just my opinion. It's a total guess based on almost nothing other than why wouldn't you go to WWE, right? Kairi spent all this time putting no one over in Japan, and she goes back, makes her re-debut in the company, in Saudi Arabia for the ultimate of sport washing, right? Where we see commercials of Bianca Belair and Drew McIntyre cutting pro sport washing commercials of travel to Saudi Arabia, use the airline. Isn't it great? It's makes you sick. Absolutely. And honestly, the people that cover these crown jewel and Saudi shows without constantly reiterating how kind of disgusting these business tactics are, and with this quote unquote progressive environment and the cultural disconnect of what's going on, it's I'll never be comfortable with it. I'm never comfortable with watching the matches without that behind it. It's almost like watching the North Korea shows, and you know that all those fans are held at gunpoint, right? Doesn't matter if Bull Nakano's leg drop off the top rope was awesome, and the fun story of Akira Hokuto and Kensuke Sasaki banging booties in the back, in a love session where the police are like coming after them, that kind of shit. Funny stories. I mean, don't get me wrong. Scott Norton's stories are hilarious, but where was I going with this? Oh yeah, sport washing. So, so Mercedes, we'll see. Jury's out on her. The other big thing was Mariah May has signed with AEW, and she's immediately in there with a stalker gimmick from I don't know. You can either point to them rehashing a storyline from 20 years ago of Mickie James stalking Trish Stratus, or you can go with the All About Eve story with the Black and White and Tony Storm deal. I don't care which one you pick. I think they both stink. I'd prefer, I guess, the All About Eve thing, as long as they keep it a sports-oriented and not delve into wackiness of characters. But who knows? Maybe we'll have a fucking match in Black and White, and, well, God, just makes me sick just thinking about that. Anyways, Full Gear's coming up. Hikaru Shida, you're losing that title. There's no chance. I mean, if there's one Tony Khan tell that you're losing that thing, is they rack up defenses one after another really quick, and then it's bang, you're done. Forget it. You're losing that thing. So Mariah May signed with AEW. AEW made a good signing. I just don't think they'll use her right. What confidence? Look, it's been 4 years of this company. What confidence is there that they're going to use any of these women remotely interesting or correctly? Especially in this company in 2023, where it's basically TNA at this point and WWE Light. Julia, rumored to be leaving Stardom at the end of her contract. There was a lot of speculation over she could be at the Performance Center at the end of November, or the sayings that WWE was massively interested in her in 2019, and I just kind of look at that and go, no. She has no connection to Meiko Satomura or anybody that has a WWE connection, and WWE is not paying attention to Ice Ribbon, okay, in 2019. I just can't buy it. Was there someone that said, hey, let's pay attention to Hana Kimura and Julia when they show up in Stardom in early 2020? Or you get what I was going for there. Then we might have a conversation where they're kind of keeping an eye on them, and they just quote-unquote say they're interested. I mean, who wouldn't be interested, right? But are they interested enough to sign? That's a different story. Because along with the Julia story, and a lot of speculation around her contract, and I mean, it coincides with the Bushi Road and her initial jump, and that starts in December, maybe it's in March. Who knows when it actually kicks in. A lot of contracts are in March around the big March show, so much similar to how New Japan structures their contract in and around Wrestle Kingdom and the months in the month or so after. Very much in that same vein, I doubt AEW has a lot of interest in, women's wrestling in general, so I'm actually shocked that Mariah May signed with them. Maybe WWE wasn't interested. Maybe she wasn't on their radar. And the way I look at it is the talent has to be interested in being in AEW for AEW to take notice, right? So Mariah May, I think, wanted to take a chance on going to particularly AEW. This is just my take on the matter. And she put in a lot of hard-earned work to get better, uproot her life to go to Stardom, get better at her profession, get notoriety during that time, putting on good to decent matches, got a decent enough push. She was here for about a year. This is great territory-like booking, I think, on Stardom's part. I think they utilized her fantastically. She wasn't overly pushed, but they protected her to an extent to make her time worthwhile. Makes you wonder what they think of Tekla, considering it all. But well earned by Mariah May. Now with Julia, if she's going anywhere that isn't Stardom, she's going to WWE, in my mind. And I don't think it's a good fit. She has hard language skills. Her style is not indicative of the Fed. And I mean, the common comparison is she will probably end up like Kenta, where she'll probably go to NXT, flame out, and we'll see her in a few years like Sari, if she signs there. And speaking of Sari, well, she signed with Sukeban, and boy oh boy are the tells over and over again with this company. PW Insider reports ex-Joshi wrestler, or Joshi wrestler, is signing with American company, and the second they don't name it, you know it's Sukeban. Okay? Because if it was TNA, WWE, or AEW, they would just say so. Like Mariah May, rumored to be signing with AEW. They just come outright and say it. Right? So Sari is getting that Sukeban money laundering scheme going. I expect Nagisa Nozaki to probably be shortly behind her on that, as she was just announced for a Noah match against Takase. I'll watch it. Why not? I got the apps on my big giant flat screen TV here with the new New Japan app and Wrestle Universe deal. I hope Nagisa Nozaki decides to sign with Stardom, get steady pay, stay in the country. She's a great asset that can be utilized in any way they see fit. I personally like her as a main eventer, but in Stardom's world, upper mid-carder would be totally okay by me. That's where I'd see her. She has had her injuries and issues in the past, and currently just coming off a 17-month exploded knee. But it is funny how just a week or so after she announces she's still injured and she's leaving Wave, all of a sudden, bang, 2 weeks later, money talks, baby. Noah's got her. It's quite amusing. Oh, what am I missing here? Got Julia, Mercedes, Mariah May, Sari. You know what? Good enough for the news. Let's talk about some Lucha Joshi. That's what I'm talking about. I got some drops ready. I think I played Juvia last time. I'm going to play a couple, just so everyone's like aware of what's happening here. So here we go.
Nena loca, me tiene loco en la cabeza cuando me tocas. Siento que todo está bien desde que te vi. Yo vivo diferente. No me importa a mí lo que dice la gente, porque tú siempre la prendes candela.
There we go. Man, I was shaking my booty a little bit there as my cat was very judgingly staring at me as he jumps off the mic stand yet again. He is up and down the stairs and everything. Nice and cozy house right now with the fire going. I had going in the fireplace for a few hours there, sipping a nice glass of bourbon, just chilling with the cat in my lap, ferret knocking around in the cage next to me. But Lucha Joshi, here we go. So, the easiest way to do this is there's a few Google Drives out there of Lucha Libre fans that keep track of all of this. You can also subscribe to CMLL's YouTube channel, in which they have the Friday shows as pay-per-views for, I think it's $10, or the pay-per-views on weekends is 10, and the Fridays and Wednesdays are 5, something like that. Either way, there's a bunch of different ways you can keep up and watch CMLL, which is good, because sometimes it's not the easiest getting into a new media. This cat's driving me nuts. All podcasts now. It's been doing that. Up and down, up and down, up and down, left and right. Okay. Well, anyways. Lucha Blogs, Google Drive is the easiest way to keep up with it, in my opinion. And last we left off, there was a few Cyberneticos that we watched, and I finally figured it out. Finally got it down. So what happens is it's two teams. It's a battle royal. The people eliminated are on one team. People are not on the other. And then it's elimination style from there. And depending on format and tournament, my cat's going nuts. Hope he stays upstairs now. For those that don't know, I have these two poles with like 1970s carpet around them that I left for the sole purpose of the cat treating it like a giant scratch post. And he loves jumping on it, climbing all the way to the ceiling, and then leaping off, and then runs up the stairs. Okay? It's very wacky. It's funny. It's definitely funny. I've put pictures out online of it. But, so yeah, depending on the tournament or the stipulation, the final two will meet in a singles match, or, well, yeah, that's how it generally ends, and then the winner of said Cybernetico will then either win that match if that's the only thing, or in this case, what we got was two separate Cybernetico matches in October here, or at the end of September. No, October 6th was the first one, in which La Catalina won, which was, this was all for the Amazonas, okay, it was the Universal de Amazonas, title, okay? Then there was a second one on October 13th in which Zeuxis won. And a whole bunch of people were in it. It's basically the entire roster, right? And let me tell you, Sexy Soul and Scotty just ignited the crowd. Just two big women going at it, and it was hilarious how the crowd reacted. So we have two Cyberneticos, Zeuxis against Catalina. They win each, and now they're going to meet in the in a finals singles matchup on another show, which took place on October 20th at the Blue Panther 45th Annie show. And ultimately, what went down was the Cyberneticos were good. You can usually skip the battle royal section. It's only 6 or 7 minutes, and then it's all good from there. But we're gonna skip to, well, okay, let's see here. La Catalina, she beat La Jarochita in the final of it all, in which Stephanie Vacker got eliminated a little earlier. So that was interesting because she's the world champion. And then Zeuxis and Juvia ended up in the final two on their side, and that ended up being pretty good. So I preferred the Zeuxis Cybernetico over the La Catalina one. I went 2 out of 3 on the Catalina, 3 out of 3 on the Zeuxis, and then that leaves us with the October 20th match. No, October, what did I say? It was October 20th, Catalina versus Zeuxis for the, we'll call it the Universal title, just to keep it simple. And the match was good. I went 2 out of 3, but I thought there was a major flaw in it. And that was the fact that, look, Catalina's only about 23 years old, only got a few years under her belt, and most of it was, unfortunately, in NXT, where she didn't get a whole lot of anything. And I'm treating her kind of as a rookie, more or less. Maybe a sophomore, if I'm being generous. And she's really taken off and gotten a lot better since March. Because also what I did was I went back to the beginning of the year and watched a bunch of matches that I had missed out on. And most of them were tags. There was a tag tournament. I'm still kind of sifting through some. But Juvia and Jarochita, it's all the people that I've spoken about that are the highlights. Anything with Zeuxis and Vaquer as a team. Excuse me. Reina Isis is a definition of a hit and miss character. If she's her Rudo character, then Isis is really a lot more slow and plodding and shaking her hips and doing kind of a beautiful bitch routine. And then when she gets into her Isis character, right? That's her Technica. Then she's going out there and doing tornillos off the top rope. And I'm like baffled. My theory is, because I'm still coming into a lot of this and experiencing it or re-experiencing a bunch for the first or second time, is I have a theory that Reina Isis was battling injuries for a majority of this year, and she's just now getting healthy, and she's getting healthy at a good time. So the Catalina Zeuxis match was 90 to 95% Zeuxis just bullying Catalina. And I spoke about how Catalina is really getting a lot of the personality across, which is her strength. She really knows how to present herself. I think she needs a little bit of better gear choice. Because if you notice, when you watch the Lucha Joshi, they all got the hiked up onesie. You know what I mean? Showing off that buttocks, if you will. They all kind of have the same idea, right? Well, Catalina, what she's doing is she's getting the facial expressions off because she doesn't have the mask. So she sticks her tongue out. She's smiling, dead eyes, deadpan. Like, she's able to express herself a lot more, and that's making up for her kind of lacking in ring, which is nice to see, right? So when Zeuxis is going about beating the shit out of her for 90% of a match, it's still coming across as compelling, but you would definitely like to see a little bit more offense for Catalina. It just wasn't enough. And the hilarious part is, Zeuxis hits a couple of her key moves, her signatures, or finisher, if you will. And Catalina survives, and then when it was all said and done, she hits one pedigree and hits her splash off the top rope and pins Zeuxis to win the Universal title. And I'm just laughing how much she got the shit kicked out of her. Hits Triple H's move. Yes, the former NXT prospect hits the Big Nose's move and essentially just pins her in one go. I was dying. So funny. So yeah, 2 out of 3 on that one. And then there's a few tags in October I've missed. There's a Jarochita Andromeda tag against Isis Vaquer I still need to watch. There's a trios match in there. There's another trios match involving Johnny Robbie and Mesa Ruga that I got to watch that was also on an October 20th show I think it was from the same show, actually. I just haven't gotten around to see it yet. And then we go to the Grand Prix match, which is also a Cybernetico, where they did this last year when like Mayumi Ozaki and company went over, and it was like a bizarre like sight. And this year we had Mesa Ruga and Makoto. We had Sumi Sakai. Johnny Robbie was in there for the... it's basically Mexicans against the rest of the world. And Scotty, Vaquer, basically everyone from like Puerto Rico is in this. Zeuxis. And then Tessa Blanchard. She is back. And she is back with a vengeance. So, for those that don't know, her and Daga are completely broken up. Tessa Blanchard, a number of years ago, was canceled due to alleged, more or less, racist remarks to La Rosa Negra that happened in Stardom, of all places. According to them, they've made up, but that doesn't get rid of Tessa Blanchard's notorious attitude issues in being one of the biggest bitches in wrestling. Okay? That's why WWE hasn't touched her. That's why AEW hasn't touched her. And also the potential racism. You know, just a little bit of that might hold you back. And then even Conan has been vocal in saying he doesn't want anything to do with her because he's bros with Daga, and he claims that Tessa was disrespectful in saying, I'm only in fucking Mexico because of Daga. That's a big quote you could pull out of there. But look, Conan, if he thought you were a star and he thought you were going to make him money, he would bring you in. He's tried Alberto Del Rio and all these guys, and it's so funny how when a dude has allegations and potential kidnapping and type shit around him, and men that have beaten women are on these AAA cards, and he'll go on his Keeping It 100 podcast and go, look, it's all alleged, and it's all like, I'm gonna bring them in, and they're not the best people to work with. But the second Tessa Blanchard says something disrespectful, all of a sudden, I'll never work with her again. It's the double standards there, is what I'm saying. Should he work with any of these people? Probably not. But he puts his foot in his mouth constantly about this shit. So Tessa Blanchard's back, and she's going to be a big focus, and it just sucks that there's so much talent in that person. You know? Why am I talking about her so much? Well, she fucking wins the match. She is still very much very good between the ropes. She's slimmed down a lot. She's still in good shape, but she's slimmed down a lot. She's not as muscular as she was in her TNA days there against Sami Callihan. And she does a lot of the NXT faces. She might as well be female Adam Cole out there with the shit she does and looks like, right? Now, I love the match. I loved what Zeuxis and Vaquer brought. Mesa Ruga was a ball of fire. There's a unfortunate, hilarious spot where La Andromeda is going to do what appears to be like a mid-rope suicide dive space flying tiger drop. I don't know how else to describe it. It's almost like she's doing a high jump routine through the middle rope and to the floor. And what ends up happening is the top of her foot clips the top rope, and she twists and tumbles into the mat, onto the apron, to the floor. And oh my God, you could just, it looks worse than what it was for sure, because she ended up getting back in the ring, hits her 450, hits a big move on Mesa Ruga, it's broken up, and then Mesa Ruga actually pins her. So, Saruga, she's great in CMLL. And I think Makoto should also, look, if the Joshi Indies aren't going to book these people and pay them, stay in CMLL. Make this division great. That's what I say. Sumi Sakai had a role. She was definitely more Rudo in this. We got to see Reina Isis really do well against Zeuxis and Blanchard and company. And the final, let's see, the final stretch of this was really good, where we had Johnny Robbie eliminates Reina Isis. Okay? Jarochita eliminates Johnny Robbie, who is a top-end prospect, Johnny Robbie. New Japan has struck gold with training this woman. If they want to like keep doing things with New Japan Strong, this woman needs to be on like every card. Get a couple CMLL people in there like Juvia, and I don't care. Keep getting high on in these people. Makes the card interesting, that's for sure. Makes it different. Stephanie Vacker eliminates Jarochita, and then Tessa Blanchard goes on a roll. Okay, her and Vacker double team Juvia and take her out, and then it's Blanchard and Vacker for a good. I would say Blanchard and Vacker were wrestling a good 8 more minutes in a singles match action, and they immediately went to big moves and near falls. Almost like they had been in a 45 minute match at that point. And it makes sense. You're in there for almost an hour in total with match time. You're going in and out. It's nonstop. You're trying to get in positions with people dives. It's a cool ass match. I really like it. And it certainly looks like Tessa Blanchard is going to get some sort of push within CMLL, because honestly, where else is she going to go? She's not canceled in Mexico, other than AAA, but that's only because of Conan. Otherwise, he'd totally have her. And from what I could tell, Mexican fans don't really give a shit, and I haven't seen much pushback on the Twitter because, well, you know me, I'm ahead of the curve with a lot of these things and when people watch, and I'm watching the CML Lucha Joshi, and you know, I put out the question in my Discord to see like how people are going to react, and I went, is Tessa Blanchard still canceled or is she just a bitch? And funny enough, Alex just went, no, she's fucked. she's still terrible. I was like, okay, just checking, just seeing what the vibes was around her, and I don't know. It people seem to have forgotten about her, but I'm sure there'll be outrage sooner rather than later that she's back wrestling. I just think it's a matter of time before Mount Tessa explodes again. So yeah, 3 out of 3 on this match. And I think that does it for the Lucha Joshi. I will probably be back in the next episode with finishing out the October matches. There's going to be some November matches to catch up with, so I'm excited. Look on the Patreon for a retro, put that in quotes, 2010 through 2012 key Lucha Joshi matches, key matches in CMLL Women's Division history. That will be a special released episode on the Patreon in relation to the Joshi 2010s journey. So if you are interested in that, if you've liked what you've heard here, then consider subscribing. Red Leaf Retrocast, Patreon, all one word, or Red Leaf Retrocast, either or will come up. You can listen to the Pure J reviews, which are monthly, LLPW retro reviews, going over history of Joshi professional wrestling, and the Joshi 2010s journey. So keep an eye on that. Let's head on over to Japan, where... Oh my god, what am I going to play here? You know what? Nagisa Nozaki. We're going to play You, Girl. Here we go. Okay. So, in the wide world of Joshi Wrestling, Sendai had a show at Cork and no attendance announced, but I don't know. We'll assume 600. Who cares? And let me pull up this card, actually, because I have at least 2 things to say. over this, and it might be short. So, as I'm pulling it up... fuck it. Who cares? We might as well wait at this point. Tokyo, November 5th, 2023. Yes. Mio Momono in the opener defeating also buried kind of rookie Yurika Oka in 7 minutes. Nothing match, don't worry about it. Chi-Chi and Zones get a win over two rookies that don't worry about. So they got their first win-win, I guess. And then it's like every Sendai show card you've ever seen for the rest of your life, where there's goofy Sakura Hirota shit with Takase. There's 2 tag matches in which there's Hiroyo Matsumoto involved and Ryo Mizunami. There's Chihiro Hashimoto and Yu defeating Team Marvelous of Kawahara and Aroha, because of course they do. Then we had that match was fine, but it was 13 minutes. It was very house showy. So I left very unimpressed. There's one move that was remotely impressive, and that was Hashimoto German suplexing Rico and Takumi in one go. So that was a thumbs up, but not enough to get my blood pumping. And then we get to the bullet end of the card here, and Dash Chisako and Aja Kong in a hardcore match. So Aja Kong goes through a table off the apron. Good for her. She don't need to be doing that. Nice. She falls backwards and onto the floor. Dash Chisako does her big ladder spot to the outside, where she basically goes splat with a chair, and her and Aja Kong went through a table. The remainder of the match is a walk and brawl, just kind of hitting each other with shit, making piles of chairs. I'm not impressed with these matches. There was 2 big spots that I went, ooh, okay. And Aja Kong just beats her. So I guess that's the political trade-off, where Aja Kong's like, I will bump for you. I will go through this table, but I'm ultimately winning the match. Why, oh why Dash Chisako can't get a win like this in 2023 is beyond me. But Cage Match is high, gave it an 8.3. This is not any sort of 4-star match. I totally disagree with that. And in the main event, non-title situation, and holy fuck. I mean, what is it with these companies in telling these stories where your home promotion wrestlers look like total geek nerds, and or they love telling the story of the tortured babyface in which they never win? Or in Mika Iwata's case, never win in a matter that actually gets them over. It's incredible. So I don't know whether they were short on time at Korakuen. I don't know, maybe cut the Sakura Hirota bullshit and maybe cut down on an Aja Kong match going 17 minutes in 2023. But it sure as shit didn't feel like they were short on time. Well, they sure booked it like it was, because Sari beats Miki Iwata in 10 minutes, clean as a sheet, in Korakuen Hall, in the main event. The Sendai champion goes down in a non-title match in geek fashion. Now, was it a fast-paced 10 minutes? Sure, yeah. Did Mika Iwata do some kicks and Sari do some forearms and then there was a suplex or two? Yeah, sure. Look, it's a 1 or 2 out of 3 match. 3.5 stars, I guess. But I can't ultimately recommend it because it's just another example of why I just do not like Sendai. And I never have, and I probably never will. I am never into what this promotion does. It's mostly just dry as grass. And seeing Mika Iwata, whom I'm a huge fan of, just lose a match like this when you could have just not booked this. Right? There are other things you can do, but they feel like, oh, we're running Korakuen Hall. Okay, then just make it a title match. Iwata loses. I'd be pissed off and complaining about that too, but why are we doing this workaround? Okay, let's say hypothetically, you want to come at me and go, or you want to say, okay, well, this is great. Saori has earned her shot, and they can revisit this. They can do some tags and build up to the rematch for the title, and Iwata can then win. Well, let's not forget this is Joshi Professional Wrestling, women's wrestling in Japan, and it might as well be 2003, even though there's an extra 2 involved. Right? In what world are we supposed to believe that Mika Iwata is going to get her win back in a promotion that is booked by Meiko Satomura? She loves beating her roster that isn't named Chihiro Hashimoto. Oh, she loves it. Everyone loses all the time except one person. Ace Syndrome. It reigns supreme. Fast-paced match. 3.5 stars. You know. Look, it's got a 7.62 on Cage Match. I think that's fair. Not something I'd be into. But all right, what the fuck else is going on? Saki Akai retired. Just further reiterates that she was in the Joshi scene for 10 years and proceeded to get pushed by nobody. DDT didn't do much with her. Made her third wheel trios. TJPW kept her in a French stick for her entire existence, going for tag titles after run after run after run after run, and finally get in a title match and losing in like 10 minutes in Chiba or whatever the fuck it was. Saki Akai just infuriates me with how two companies proceeded to book her for a decade, essentially. I know TJPW hasn't been around that long, but you get the idea. Let's see. And then, I guess, just in the very last news, Yuka Sakazaki is on her way to having her last match. There was a show called, I have it written down here. Where is it? Not Old Rise. It was the one after that. It was, so here we go. City Circuit in Nagoya. I gave a 1 out of 3 to the Yuka Mizuki against Arisa Endo Suzume match. I quite enjoyed that. And we're on Yuka Graduation Road. And I guess we'll see if anyone gets pushed this century in this company. But they did announce the January 4th main event will be Miyu Yamashita against Masha Slamovich. And Masha's going on this like little indie run where she's going for titles and dropping them. WXW is having a unification match between the men and women's title because, well, let's face it, Central Europe doesn't have a robust pool of women talent in 2023. So I understand the move. Not the greatest like look in the world, but I'm sure Mas will have a match over there. And look, I'm sure the Miyu Yamashita match will be pretty good. But January 4th, what are we doing? Why push your own talent? Why feature it? Now, the Masha Hikari Noah death match that they got lined up afterwards, that's pretty cool. You know, not my cup of tea, but I get it, right? I understand what they're doing. But it's just another example of TJPW wasting these big opportunities for their roster to grow and grow with their audience and their audience to be invested with. Hell, I'm one of the audience, and all I do is keep seeing these people not progress or move up the card ever. And we've been talking about this for 4.5 years now. Anyways. We got AJPW putting on fucking 4.5+ star matches with Aogi and Katsuhika Nakajima. We have Dragongate stinking up the place with like okay matches at Gate of Destiny. Not impressed there. And they continue to lie about their attendances by, 500 to 1,000 people. All right. Enough that. I love talking CMLL. That's my new thing right now. But hey, time for All Japan, I guess. Get going. Here we go. Thank you, Takako went away, bringing us in for another AJW Destiny podcast episode. Red Leaf Retrocast. If you're listening on the proper feed, welcome. If you're listening on AJW Destiny feed, hey, check out those Joshi 2010s episodes. It's episode 101 of the classics, / we're not doing 4, 5, 6 episodes deep of Big Egg. Not happening. Basically did an hour with Alex from Stardom Quest. Very happy to have him on the previous episode. He was a blast. It was a celebration talking about all the nonsense that was going on AJW during this time. And lo and behold, the classics, as they do, sometimes they miss shows. Sometimes they skip over important events, important matches, even. And it was brought to my attention that the classics skipped over WrestleMarinepiad from 1994. And yes, there's technically 2 of them. There's an EX in December, which we're definitely going to cover, whether the classics do or not. And I'm like, wow, Marinepiad's a major show each year. It has been since 1988. 88? Let's check that. The first one was 89, I believe. Okay. So, you know, the story with WrestleMarinepiad here. The history that's starting to develop with Marinepiad is we have a banger, important main event. Okay? And it has been since it's the inception. You know, sold out Yokohama Arena with the Crush Gals / Chigusa Nagayo retirement with 12,000 people, give or take, depending on how they want to lie about capacity. But regardless, that was one of the biggest attended shows in women's history at the time. Well, post Mildred Burke era, I guess we could point to, and there's some June Byers things out there, but you know, it's one of the bigger things that there has been in a decade, going back to the beauty pair. And then, since then, they've been flirting with about 400 to 6,500 people per Marinepiad, depending on the main event and who's involved. 1990 was the famous Bull Nakano beating Aja Kong match in the steel cage. The year after, in 91, would have been that would have been the Monster Ripper steel cage match. That was the Texas Death Match. That's right, with Bison Kimura, Aja Kong, still playing off the Bull Nakano Aja Kong storyline. In 92, back at Yokohama, Bull Nakano beats Aja Kong yet again. And that was when we're starting to go, okay, hold on, what are we doing here? And then the eventual payoff. And then in 93, the previous year, they actually went to the Tokyo Bay City Hall. Their biggest attended show, depending on who you ask, it says capacity 6,700 sold out. You know, plus or minus, give or take. Interpromotional warfare, that was Aja Kong Akira Hokuto, the big stinker. 2.5. Alex and I talked about it in the previous episode briefly that Kong and Hokuto they were cursed together. That was the Hokuto big leg injury and getting the match. And then the exhaustion levels that were Big Egg. But here we are, WrestleMarinepiad. It's 1994. Sold out. Kawasaki Gym. 4,200. So, depending again who you ask. You know, we're a month out from Big Egg at this point. And yes, this did take place before it. October 9th, 1994. And it's not the banger card that you'd think they put out. But look, a lot of stuff was being saved for the interpromotional matches at Big Egg. All eyes were on the Dome. The last thing I think a lot of fans and even media and the like were thinking about was Marinepiad in Kawasaki, you know, this year. So I wouldn't say they punted the event, but there was a lot of just... I get the ideas what they were going for. They put on singles matches that maybe could draw interest. You got your big stars kind of winning who you want pushed. And look, 3 WA tag titles were on the line. The JWP tag title storyline was continuing on this show. I'll get to that. because those are the two big takeaways. So I have myself, look, man, I've just gotten over a major illness, haven't had a nice glass of booze in almost 2 weeks, and I've saved it for this moment. I've got myself my Ghost Tequila, one of my favorites, and I'm going to drink my first sip right now. Drink in moderation, indeed. Yeah, a lot of things going on in the JD household here. I got a heat efficiency experiment going on as we speak. It's going to take a while for me to get some results on there. Look, I'm an engineer at work. I'm an engineer at home. I may not be the most mechanically inclined, but goddammit, I know heat convection and that kind of shit. So there we go. So what was Marine Piad? Well, we had a lot of rookie matches. We had a midget match, a little person match, which has replaced the Bat Yoshinaga worst match on the show vibe, because this is also the Bat Yoshinaga retirement show. Pouring out for the Bat one. Okay. So we'll go through this pretty quick here. Kumiko Meikawa, Big May, defeats Fusayo Nochi, 8.5 minutes. Drop kicks, rookie stuff. What more do you need to say? Followed by the little person match. Tomozo Sonokake defeats Little Frankie. These things are dumb. I don't get it. It's very CMLL. Which, by the way, weird way to make a segue, but over on the Patreon, Red Leaf Retrocast Patreon, keep an eye out for the Lucha Joshi, which is now beginning. If you're listening to RLR proper, if you're on the feed right now, then you're well aware that we're starting the journey and fandom of women's wrestling in Mexico. It's definitely a blind spot, I think heavily undercovered, blind spot for myself. What better way to start getting into something new than right now when the CMLL women's division is gaining so much more interest than it has in, well, possibly forever. You know, they had the excellent mask match last year with Takeshita and Reina Assis, and ever since then I've been kind of locked in on it, and now with the last podcast episode and heading on over to the Patreon in the Joshi 2010s journey, the pride and joy of the podcast over there, we're gonna educate ourselves on some of the past, and that will in turn give me a better appreciation for a lot of the older CMLL women's wrestlers that are in that division now, kind of holding up the mid card and eating pins and the like. And give yourself some veteran respect. Hello, kitty cat. What's going on, buddy? Hey. Look, I know that I know there's an active fire somewhere in the house, but you don't need to be so worried. He's very skittish. Well, he sees something. Not sure what he wants. So yeah, CMLL Lucha Joshi. That's what I'm dubbing it. Very excited. Definitely brings about a different perspective on how you look at wrestling and women's wrestling in particular. Anyways, keep an eye out for that. Chaprita Asari and Suzuka Minami play gatekeepers against Misai Genki and Tomoko Watanabe, 12.5 minutes. Suzuka Minami continues to gatekeep people being pushed. So there was that. Nice little powerbomb from Suzuka. Hiromi, Yagi, and Ri Tamada. 15-minute draw, and this might be one of the best rookie matches I've seen. 15 minutes, and I was 3.5, 3 3/4 on this match. This was incredible. Oh, that's what he's doing. Okay. He's, kitty cat over here, Sid, is, stopping shop right behind me here underneath the blanket. So he's cold. Look, it's like 29 degrees here at night in Rhode Island. I'm rolling. I'm drinking tequila. I got the heat experiment going. Shit, I even have gloves on because my hands are so cold. But the house is warming up pretty well. Look, the house is old as shit, guys. I only got so much money to go around. I got to make do with what I got. Keep the pipes from freezing and not spending $600 to $1,000 a month on oil. Heat my boiler. Okay. Hiromi Yagi and Ritamata did a fantastic rookie-style Young Lion match that went pretty high-end, and they started busting out things that you wouldn't expect them to do. I love this Ritamata. Hiromi Yagi has a ton of potential. I'm excited to see how these two develop and where they go. Yumiko Hotta defeats Mariko Yoshida 16.5 minutes. This was boring as shit. Yumiko Hotta, just when I sing your praises in your development in 1994, you pull out this bullshit of a match. I don't know whether it was up to her. This was the idea that they came up with of the time. But this might as well have been a rookie squash match that went on for 16.5 minutes. Yoshida got like nothing. She hasn't hit her next form yet as the tarantula spider deal. And Yumiko Hotta was back on her nonsense of, I'm going to punt kick, I'm going to bust her open, I'm not going to do anything to remotely make this an interesting match. It's just, I'm going to look as physically imposing as possible, and that's it. That would be all well and good if it lasted like 7 minutes. But instead, they went over double that, and I couldn't stand it. Do not recommend. Skip that one. Now, here's the interesting one. JWP tag titles on the line in the mid-card, upper mid-card. It's LCO, who have been on an amazing role and progression in 1994. The Akira Hokuto retirement is the best thing that ever happened to these two. Okay? Because it got them much higher focus, and with a lot of the injuries and riddled down roster that AJW has gone through over the last year and a half, they've had a lot of shine. And between them and Takako Inoue, I have really loved the development in 94 through a lot of this roster. And those three are my personal favorites. Aja Kong's come a long way in 94. Hotta, for all what I just buried her, she's come a long way in 1994. So LCO here are the JWP Tag Champions. Much like previously, where Ozaki and Kansai were the 3WA Tag Champions, right? The Invaders of the outside promotion has the titles. So, what we have, let's see, JWP Tag titles. Here's my notes. So, we have a story that has now developed since they won these things from Cutie Suzuki and Mayumi Ozaki back in March. May, they had a little defense at Korakuen against Kaoru Ito and Yumiko Hotta. Did not like that. You can find that 27 minutes. It's Kaoru Ito. What do you expect? And then from there, from June and now this match, there's an ongoing story with whom I'm very much falling in love with each and every time out. That's Hikari Fukuoka, who wants to win these titles back for JWP. So she's taken upon herself to come at LCO and create a little rivalry here. Okay? So at the AJW Grand Prix Day 1, we saw her and Candy Okotsu fail in trying to get those titles back. And if you remember, I kind of like that match. And now we have try number 2, where she has a different tag partner now in Command Bolshoi. Little comedy, little serious. She's got the little lucha background to her, little Command Bolshoi action. And on try 2, she fails again. But this time, it's because Bolshoi was not a sufficient partner. About halfway through the match, Bolshoi clearly tears her knee. And she just fights through this for a good chunk of the match, and the match really kind of falls apart, unfortunately, because I really enjoyed what I was seeing. I believe the match was about 19 minutes. And unfortunately, as soon as the knee goes out, Bolshoi is an absolute disaster, and the whole match is just... they don't know what to do, and Bolshoi is trying to fight, and they're trying to work around the immobile person with the lucha stuff, right? So they're kind of running at her, and she's trying her best to stay on her feet. She wasn't pulling no Joe Thornton 2 torn knees in the playoffs, let me tell you that much. Okay? So Hikari Fukuoka's bumping all over the place. Mima Shimoda starts bumping all over the place. Mita, well, Shimoda especially, I don't know how she's alive with how many neck bumps she, like, threw at herself. Okay? So Bolshoi's got this torn knee. They don't know it initially, so it almost looks like Bolshoi is totally lost in the match, but she can't fucking move. So she can't get into position. Excuse me. It's an interesting development with what happened here. So they end up trying to get to the finish. Doesn't really work out. Bolshoi goes splat, and she gets pinned, which is unfortunate, because I did like the first half of this match, and the second half was as I've discussed. So what happens with these JWP tag titles? Well, since we are not a JWP podcast, and we're not covering JWP, Hikari Fukuoka gets another tag partner, and at the JWP New Year's Korakuen Hall. So, you have the January, 3rd, 4th, 5th AJW shows at Korakuen. JWP has theirs. And Hikari Fukuoka, for try 3, third time's the charm, gets Mayumi Ozaki as her tag partner. And on that time, after a 20-minute grueling match, they take the titles back from LCO. Haven't seen it personally. That's how the story plays out. Which, LCO almost had these JWP tag titles for a year. They had them for 10 months at that point. Well done. I think it was well done. It was spread out, I think, in a decent time frames. They won them in March. Had 2 defenses in the summer. You had July, August, September kind of off. Maybe you could have scheduled something different, but hey, these are interpromotional tag titles here going around. So I think it played out pretty well, despite the injury. I think the story was good. Yes, this match didn't quite work out, but you get the idea. So, you know how I said Yumiko Hotta and Yoshida had a boring 16-minute match? Well, then Aja Kong decides to have a boring match with Kaori Ito. But look, what are you going to do with a Kaori Ito? She's got the worst gear, worst persona, worst moveset in I'll argue, all of Joshi Wrestling right now, at this point in 94. Ito stinks. I do not like her. I don't like watching her. 13.5 minutes. Kong beats her with an Orican. We move on. Tired of this nonsense. Reggie Bennett defeats Saki Hasegawa in 10 minutes. Ah, man. Just when you think Saki Hasegawa, she's surely breaking out. Surely she's going to be pushed. Fans and fans alike are saying, man, she's the next thing. She's the next thing to come out. Well, in comes Reggie Bennett, the construction worker, and she puts the nail in that 2x4 and knocks it over Saki Hasegawa and says, not today. Match was okay. A little house show-esque, but there you go. Main event time. This is why we're here. That's why we're here. And it's a doozy. Double in a way. Challenging for the 3 WA tag titles in a 2 out of 3 falls match against 1985 Gold Team Combo. Manami Toyota, Toshi Yamada, trying to get their Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame bouts in. 33 minutes, 47 seconds this match went. Fall 1 was at 13 minutes. Fall 2 was at 25. And Fall 3 was, obviously, just short of 34 minutes. Takako Inoue pins Manami Toyota to win the third fall in the match. One Big Dave Meltzer at the Wrestling Observer newsletter gave this match 5 stars. I'm not that high on the match. I did really love it. 4.5, 4 3/4. We're going about there. This fucking match was incredible. Okay? Kyoko Inoue is a phenomenal tag team wrestler in this time period. I vastly prefer it over... You know what? I'll do this comparison. This double Inoue team is like the 90s version of Jumping Bomb Angels. Where Takako Inoue, to me, can definitely put it together in a singles mode. That's like Itsuki Yamazaki, even though I'm more of a Norio Tateno fan. But then again, Kyoko Inoue surely hell reminds me a lot of Norio Tateno. excellent tag wrestlers, good charisma in the ring, they know how to work, and then when it comes to a singles match, they want to fucking hit the mat. And it's annoying. And I don't like it. Be more like Yumi Ogura. And not like a luchador who's in his 60s that can't move anymore. More tequila. So Manami Toyota pins Kyoko Inoue in the first fall. Kyoko Inoue pins Toshio Yamada in the second fall, and I like this. I like that a lot. Because Takako Inoue was not pinned in any capacity, and that goes into the show that took place shortly after this that was, I believe, covered in Classics 99 episode, where it was Takako Inoue against Manami Toyota for the All-Pacific UWA titles? The double one? Whichever. Excellent match. Phenomenal. Big match Takako is what I titled that. So Takako's not pinned. She retains credibility. And Manami Toyota gets a big win over Kyoko. But the big thing, and then Kyoko gets her win back over Yamada. So then, for Takako to pin Manami is a great setup for that future title match. And because she didn't get pinned, she has the most credibility coming out of the match as well. So as for the moves of the match, we got, let's see here. How does the match start? Going to my notes. Kyoko and Manami start off at 1,000,000 miles an hour, as I wrote. There's some good heel work from Double Inoue, taking advantage of Manami in a submission. Get some boos from the crowd, get some jeers. There's some springboard action, Manami with the no hands deal. Kyoko reverses some Manami moves. Oh yeah, okay. So Kyoko does the slingshot backsplash, flip over power slam thing, and then a doomsday kick to the back of the head in which Takako saves Kyoko. So that was Manami on Kyoko there. But unfortunately, Takako is completely taken over. Manami hits the JOC. First fall's hers. So then, the story for the remainder of the match is Kyoko can't be put down. She's a zombie. They're trying to get her down again, but she keeps resisting. Takako's coming in. Right? So, lots of double team moves. Lots of coming down. And then Kyoko fights back. Escapes death, if you will. And she does a wild top rope like power slam deal that the crowd was surely thought was a finish, and then she just picks her up, immediately hits a Niagara driver, and pins this woman Yamada. Boom! Great second fall, and that's the key. I want more modern Joshi wrestling to put effort into a tag division where you get a 2 out of 3 falls match, where you get some sort of stipulation and hatred. It's too often we're watching, whether it's Stardom or the Joshi Indies or TJPW, where, like, I get wanting to do straight up tag matches, but if your tag champions are stale or they've been, there's a lack of interest, then drum up some interest with a stipulation. And a 2 out of 3 falls stipulation is so simplistic, and you have the past to look back on how to do it. This was done phenomenally. And then from there, it's more Kyoko just trying to survive, and Takako's coming in and trying to take out one member or the other to survive for the team. And when Kyoko finally gets in, and they take Yamada out of the match, and they're doing Road Warrior style level double team moves off the top, the Doomsday devices, but with choke slams and knees. And this ended up making the match better, where Double Inoue missed twice on hitting their version of a Doomsday device flush. And then on the third time, Takako finally gets like the choke slam and knee deal down, picks up Manami Toyota one more time for an emphatic slam with the knee to the back of the head off the top rope to pin this woman clean. Business was made this day. Like I said, 4.5, 4 3/4. I don't think it was a perfect match, a little 5-star action. I'm not going Dave-flation here. But holy hell, this match was so worthwhile watching. It's one of the best tag matches I've ever seen. It's up there. Phenomenal stuff. I'm glad I watched it. Now, we'll see. Okay, so now we're past Big Egg. Got all the shows prior. We're going to see how much the attendance actually dips in 95. Because what we're seeing here is LCO has gotten a major push. Aja Kong's broken out. Takako Inoue has clearly broken out with these kind of performances. Kyoko Inoue is very much at a top level. So we have the talent there for great, interesting matches in 95. Will a post-Hokuto and Bull Nakano world be okay? Or will they start relying on other things? Will attendance actually dip? Because if they're still pulling 4,000 to 6,000 people to these shows, that's not a dip. All it is they didn't run the Tokyo Dome in 95. Like, that's the difference. Because 93 was good. They had some 16,000 piece shows there. 94 was good. More or less the same. Little dips here and there, but that's natural. Ebbs and flows, if you will. I'm excited. Nice little AJW show in the books. All right, I made a bunch of new drops. That was the Roosh LFI intro music. Very cool. Very cool indeed.
Awesome.
So, lots to discuss. I just got off of a lot of Joshi wrestling talk, women's wrestling talk, really into the CMLL women's division, where they also generally have one match per show.
Sure.
That again, Tony Khan doesn't have the excuse that a capital didn't ban women's wrestling for like 30 years. So,
right.
Yeah. Anyways, AEW is going on, but I got off being ill with walking pneumonia and a bronchitis infection. I'm finally like controlled.
Congratulations.
Still on heavy meds. Yeah. Let me tell you about the American healthcare system. Oh, buddy, so much fun.
Oh. Let me tell you about the American healthcare system. I had an appointment last week. Jason and I both had appointments last week to get our flu shots. Our flu shots and COVID boosters at the grocery store.
Uh-huh.
Jason got his, and I couldn't get mine because my insurance is no longer supported by the grocery store, or the grocery store no longer accepts my insurance, or whatever. So I meant to get it now. I have Kaiser Permanente, which is, I actually really like. It's almost like socialized healthcare. Everything's in one building. You can kind of see whatever doctor you want. And they have walk-in vaccines. So I could have gone at any point that week, walked in without an appointment and gotten my shots, except they only have business hours from like, I don't know, 9 to 4 or something.
Yes,
you know?
Of course. All the important stores operate at the same time when everyone else works.
Right. Now, if you can't tell by the way I'm speaking, I'm speaking a little differently because I have COVID.
Yeah, she got the vid, guys.
I was supposed to get my booster, and it probably wouldn't have hit me quite as hard. Today is like day 4, I think, so I'm on the upswing. It hasn't really hit Jason at all, who did get his booster, thank goodness.
Hey, all right.
So I apologize if I sound like an NPR DJ for the duration of this podcast.
It's okay. I did a couple podcast episodes coming off of walking pneumonia. So I don't know how I did it, but I was put down hard for the count.
Well,
I say it every time.
JD asked me.
Being sick alone and living alone with no one around, it's terrifying.
I agree. I'm so grateful to have Jason here taking care of me. I mean, if I had to take both dogs, we don't have a yard. You know, we live in a condo. So if I was this sick and had to take both dogs out on a leash 4 times a day, it would have been a real struggle. I mean, I told you yesterday, because you asked me if we could record yesterday.
Yeah.
I said, no, let's play it by ear. And then I was like, just filled out an online form and it took too much out of me. Can we record tomorrow?
Yeah, my illness was so bad I couldn't even, like, if I called an Uber, which I tried to do, right, to get me to some sort of doctor's office, first of all, it was impossible for me to even get an appointment. You're on their time, they're not on yours. Very important for doctors to be to work that way. I wasn't like conscious long enough to even like hear an Uber like come. I just couldn't stay awake. I was that bad. And then my cat also got sick along with me. So I was puking, he was puking. We're all puke buddies. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, great. But anyways, wrestling. That's what's most important.
Yeah.
Clearly. AEW,
talk about
Full Gear's coming. But first, what do you think of the show these days?
I'm gonna lie. I'm on my phone a lot during AEW.
Yeah.
That's pretty telling. Part of that is because the only show I watch live is Dynamite. And for Dynamite, I am on my phone less. If I am on my phone, it's to tweet along, usually. But I watch Rampage and Collision recorded. Jason and I watch them together the next morning. It's just kind of what we do. And part of it is, it's not live. I'm just not as invested, but I also just think it's not as good.
Yeah, that's kind of the consensus going around.
I think we're on the upswing. I am very much looking forward to Full Gear. The card is building.
Yeah, I got it. I got it in front of me.
When I say I'm very much looking forward to Full Gear, I'm looking forward to Swerve versus Hangman. That's it. Everything else is off.
Yeah, so we got MJF doing double duty. One's on the pre-show again, so we're doing this song and dance, where him and Mystery Partner against the Guns. The Guns better just fucking win this in like 6 minutes.
I hope so.
I'm so tired of this. Shida against Timeless Toni Storm. Shida is losing that title so fast.
Dude, she can't, though. Toni doesn't need it. I know she's going to. But
a big Tony Khan
so better. It would be
mechanism.
Better. It would be better for Toni and for Mariah May if Toni lost.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out. I'm not into this.
If Toni loses, Mariah May finally meets her, it's gonna be like, who is this washed up loser that I modeled my whole life after?
See, what you're doing is telling a good story. But anyways, Sting, Darby, Edge with Ric Flair. I don't even think we've mentioned that before, but they're against Christian Cage.
I didn't know he was part of the match.
Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne. Ric Flair is ringside.
I mean, I've accepted the fact that for whatever reason, Ric Flair is over.
Well, he's Ric Flair. He's Ric Flair.
He is a sex pest. And
there's the huge moral question. But here's the thing: it was
he's
for the last
74, and I don't give a fuck.
Right, he's 74. We shouldn't give a fuck. There's, I think it goes back as far as 3 episodes ago. We had the kind of loose conversation of kind of all the things wrong with AEW and how it's changed. And one of the big things was there's a lot of old people on this show now, and it's just getting older. And then they bring out Ric Flair like 2 weeks later, and we're like, good God, it was Edge and then Ric Flair, like.
And so for me, not only am I uncomfortable having him there as a person who is concerned about his sordid past, I have no nostalgia for this guy. I never watched wrestling when he was. I don't care. He's old. He means nothing to me. He brings nothing to me.
Oh no, you're watching him in WCW right now.
He couldn't put together a coherent sentence 20 years ago. He definitely can't now.
Well, the argument or debate I've seen going around is AEW is trying to secure its next TV deal. Getting the veterans or legends on the show will help ratings. Well, here's the thing. They're not.
Not, though.
And I don't know how many promotions we have to watch and see this over and over again. The best way to grow your company, and the way every company always grows, is pushing young, new stars. Sure. When was AEW at its best? Showing new talent and fresh, young stars.
So, I just to stick with Ric Flair just for a moment, as a business decision, understand why Tony did it. It's not costing AEW anything.
Oh, are you kidding me?
So it's kind of
that Ric Flair and Adam Copeland contract are multi-years, and they're not showing up for any chump change. Are you kidding me?
No. I know that. But AEW is not paying for Ric Flair. Ric Flair's energy drink is paying for Ric Flair. They're allowing the energy drink spots. No. This is true. I'm not making this up. You're laughing.
Oh, is that where the Surge jokes came from? Like WCW?
Yes.
Oh, no.
So it literally is not costing AEW much, if anything, to have him, to have this partnership. It's product placement.
This isn't Macho Man and Slim Jim levels.
It's exactly Macho. It's exactly Macho Man and Slim Jim, except Macho Man people cared about having there.
Yeah, Slim Jim actually sold. Orange Cassidy, Moxley, international title, Hangman Page, Swerve, Texas Death Match. So we're getting a second Texas Death Match from Hangman Page this year. You remember how much I liked the first one.
His third one overall. There have been.
The Lance Archer one. That was also good.
I think five. No. Moxley's second. Hangman's third.
Right.
So I looked this up recently. There have been 5 Texas Death Matches in AEW. First one was Archer Moxley. Second one was Hangman Adam Cole. And it was Hangman.
I forgot about that one.
It was Hangman versus whoever you just said.
Archer.
Hangman Archer? No. It was Moxley. Was it Hangman Archer?
I think Hangman and Archer had a match.
Up.
Did they not?
Anyway, it was Hangman and some. No, it was Hangman and Adam. It was 2 Adams. Was Adam? No, he's Adam. Damn it. Fuck.
Whatever. Anyways.
COVID. Leave me alone. Short-term memory. Anyway, Page has been in 2 of them. Moxley's been in 1 of them. The most recent Texas Death Match was Brian Cate, Danielson, and Ricky Starks. And now...
was that a Texas Death Match?
Well, they had a strap match, and then they had a Texas Death Match after that.
Oh. I must have missed that stipulation.
I was curious about the lineage of this match stipulation in AEW. Were they all in Texas? No. So.
Well, yeah. Anyways,
it's fine. No, that's fine.
Yeah, it's their Wrestle Dream match. They've ramped it up. I'm okay with this, and it's Hangman Page's specialty. Swerve won on pay-per-view. Kind of expect Hangman Page to win here. I think we got time for a World's End match, but the thing about going to a Texas Death Match is you got to kind of end it. On that. Kind of feels like you got to end it.
Well, it does feel like it needs to end, but I'm also glad that they did add a stipulation because the first match was excellent. And the story that that Swerve was telling was it wasn't about Hangman, it was about Hangman's position, and then Hangman made it personal, and then Swerve broke into his house and whatever. So you needed the stipulation, it needed to be more violent. So I think it is the right move.
Yeah, whether they told it very well or not is neither here nor there at this point.
I mean, I got it. You got it. I think that's fine.
Yeah, it's just, it seems like it should be a, I don't know, it feels like a semi-main event level type of match along with Cassidy and Moxley.
Mm.
But the Moxley-Cassidy thing is messy just because of the situation with the title, with the injuries and going back and forth. So, right. All right, Golden Jets, Omega Jericho against the Bucks. This is the shit that's like kind of wrong with AEW right now. Is there's people getting title matches when there's already established number one contenders, so people are hopping the line, and now we have the Bucks defending their number one contendership against Omega and Jericho. Match in a vacuum, I expect to be great. Right? But,
always with AEW, I'm never concerned about, we say this all the time, never concerned about match quality.
Yeah, apparently the incentive for the Bucks to accept this is if the Bucks win, Omega and Jericho can no longer be a team.
Who cares? They've been teaming for like a month. Don't give a fuck.
Right. If they were
jealous of their friend.
Right. Like they blew. It feels like they blew through like a year-long storyline. The Elites fighting again when they never really felt like the team united. Shortly after that, it's an encapsulate and anyways, whatever. Statlander, Julia Hart against, I assume, Sky Blue. So we're getting Sky Blue on pay-per-view. God help us all. A three-way.
Oh, gotta tell you something off air about Sky Blue.
Oh. Okay.
It's exciting, but I can't share it on the podcast.
4-way tag title match because it has to be a 4-way. LFI, Ricky Starks, Big Bill, FTR, and Kings of the Black Throne, Malachi Black, Brody King. They just did like a 4-way tag match, and it was like a mess.
I like multi-man matches.
Yeah, I just think it's lazy booking.
Spot. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
MJF White has been going on for a while.
Yeah.
I think we get the story by now. Do you give a shit about the Devil and who it is? Maybe.
It's me. Sorry, I had to.
Yeah.
No, I had a COVID moment. I do because I like a good wrestling mystery and a good reveal. I know 4 weeks ago, you and I were saying Who is the Devil should be a bigger deal and a bigger story. We should be guessing there should be Twitter threads and blog posts, people saying like, here are 10 people that could be the devil, like this should be a bigger story. And 4 weeks ago, it wasn't. I think now they're making it bigger. I am more intrigued.
They definitely retconned a couple things.
Yeah. Also with the World's End pay-per-view announced, I think we kind of now guess when we're going to get the reveal. And because the World's End may align with some WWE released available dates, that opens a lot of other possibilities for who it could be. Speaking of which, I've seen a lot of theories, and I don't think many of them carry much weight with me. One I've heard, because of her appearance in whatever music video was Britt Baker, I don't think it is Britt, but where the fuck has she been?
Well, that's been my ongoing joke, right? Adam Cole gets injured, and yet he's on TV every week in some capacity, and she has just disappeared.
Maybe it is her.
No. And if it is, it's stupid.
I don't know.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. But
of course it doesn't make sense. You know what this Devil storyline reminds me of? And this is going to go over your head, but I'll explain it. There was I believe it was either late WCW 2000 or early 2001. There was the Mystery Man backstage.
Just the Ric Flair Devil thing?
No.
Not the thing that CM Punk tweeted?
No, that's a Black Scorpion from the early 90s. Okay. That was like horrible, but they tried. Okay. This doesn't feel like they're trying in AEW, and that's why it reminds me of the Mystery Man from WCW 2000, 2001, where...
We're going to get there?
Oh, we'll get there, and you'll see what I mean.
Okay.
But I have to spoil it, because it's a fucking 20-year-old storyline at this point.
That's fine.
But seeing it play out in real time, you're just going to, like... You're going to shake your head and just go, what the fuck is going on? So there's, like, random appearances... Guys get beat up by backstage by the Mystery Man. Imagine like the fucking Riddler, okay, but with a mask, and just to make it like funny in your head. And week after week, there's a bunch of people going around. Every week, the Mystery Man is clearly like someone else in the costume, like different body sizes, heights, all kinds of things. And it's like, oh, who's the Mystery Man? He's causing mayhem. And then randomly one week, it's revealed to be Rick Steiner, of all people, who's like totally washed up at this point in time. He can't wrestle anymore. And the problem with Rick Steiner being revealed is you actually saw him in some of these backstage segments getting beat up or in the camera shots. So it's like, no, it's not Rick Steiner.
No, it is not. Oh, it is not. Oh my goodness gracious. So that is, that's kind of what it feels like. I mean, especially considering the fact that people have identified, like, there's these, like, different body types. Like, it's clearly not the same person in the first snip as it is in the second snip.
Right. And then people are just trying to make up their own stories because nothing's played out on screen, and they're retconning things. So that's where the Britt Baker thing came in, of about a random music video with what's-her-face.
Well, because she does a devil horn.
Yeah, but the whole like music video and the motif of the song is like the singer's the devil and it's in a playground. So it would be like
if I went to a hockey game and went like this.
Right, and it's like, oh, she's part of the New Jersey Devils now. Wow, look at her. Abs won, by the way.
Speaking of which, we were at that game.
That was great. Good game. Despite the Abs like losing 5 of 7 by like 4 goals or more, but anyways. Yeah, one of the other stories I want to talk about with AEW is they announced just out of nowhere on Collision the Continental Classic, the E1, the C1,
the E1,
the Elite One, right? Whatever you want to call it.
I like the E1. I like the E1. That's
well, it's the Continental Classic, so some people are calling it like the C Squared tournament, the C1.
Sure.
I'm kind of more like the E1, but. Actually, there were Joshi fans making jokes that it's the Elite Star, like the 5-star Grand Prix, the Elite Star Grand Prix. Yeah, making a bunch of puns and jokes on it. Based on AEW's experience in tournaments, whether it's the Owen Hart, the number 1 contendership, there's always like bums in these things where you're just like they've lost like every match or 8 in a row. There's only like 3 conceivable guys that could win this thing. And here I am thinking, well, they're probably going to put like Dustin Rhodes and Jeff Jarrett in this fucking thing.
No. I disagree.
That's what I'm afraid of. I just don't have the confidence that they're going to give us something we actually want to see.
There are too many. Now, I was disappointed, and we can get into this when we talk New Japan. I was disappointed to see Lance Archer in the Tag League because I was hoping to see him in this tournament, but excited to see him in Tag League, though. I love him and Alex Zane. Oh,
yeah, I got to pull up all the entries in that.
Pull that up. Talking. Oh, I have more thoughts on that, too. Just one major thought, but anyway, it's mostly I'm very happy with the teams. Lost my train of thought. I have COVID. You need to refocus me. was I talking about? Oh, tournament, right.
Yeah.
No, I was just thinking that there are so many elite. I mean that in the literal sense of the word, not the elite sense. There's so many elite athletes and elite wrestlers in this company that aren't doing a whole lot. Would be amazing to get an actual tournament with matches we actually want to see.
Yes, and this would have been great if it was announced like in the summer, and it's like coming this fall. We're doing this tournament, and it's going to culminate at the end of the year. Instead, it's on Collision, announce 2 blocks of 6. 1 entry is known, and I believe it starts this Wednesday, right? Or does it start after the pay-per-view? Something like that. Like, I want blocks. I want the participants. I want that all stated. I'm tired of this just guessing game and things that feel like it's week-to-week booking. That's a good point.
That is a good point. But I'm letting myself remain optimistic for this.
Well, I'm just not confident in this company anymore.
I feel like it's Danielson's idea, right? So because he couldn't get there for the actual G1, probably won't.
It's probable.
So I'm hoping that he is shaping this tournament with the people that he wants to face. Barely.
I guess we'll find out. The more Mexicans, the better for that tournament. That's what I say. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay. No bums. That's my request.
Bums?
Yeah, no bums. What's going on here? You sent a message?
This is just...
Oh, yeah. I saw you send that. Okay,
yeah.
Well. We shall find out. Anything else on AEW? I'm kind of, like, over this company.
Let's see, what else? I'm excited for the potential return of Thunder Rosa. That's been teased. She showed up at a indie thing to threaten Billy Starks. So it sounds like her return might be imminent. I think the women's booking was the strongest when she was on top, or at least in the mix.
I don't know.
And that's not saying a whole lot, but
seems the same to me.
It's
just been so bad since she went out because of the Outcasts and everything that surrounds that.
The Outcasts have been terrible. We lost Jamie Hayter. Jamie Hayter was the most over person in the company for her time. So what else?
Well, let's talk about, did you watch Jericho Takeshita?
I
from
did.
DDT?
I did. Okay. So you gave me, I've been sick and I didn't think of it until today, I think, to ask you for some
the list.
A list of matches I should watch. And you gave me a list and I watched many of them.
Okay.
But got sidetracked because I forgot how much I love DDT. And ended up watching way more DDT than I meant to. Which was super fun, but I didn't get to the Japan Texas show. But I did watch Jericho Takeshita. I watched some other matches from the DDT show. And anyway, yes.
Yeah, the DDT show, you had the Saki Akai retirement. I have my opinions on that. I already stated them early in the podcast. I
watched that.
Then you had Chris Brooks, Yuki Ueno. I thought that was like okay. Didn't blow me away.
I actually skipped that one because I was trying to get to the matches you told me to watch. But I watched. Let me pull up I didn't bring up the card. Hang on.
Yeah. DDT booking it mostly stinks. It's very stagnant. They don't know when to push people at the right time or give people wins when they're at their peak. And one example of it was on this show with Takeshita losing to Jericho in his ex-home promotion in a vacuum.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have an issue with this, but everything that's been surrounding the Don Callis family story, being it, like, Takeshita's coming off of the Kenny Omega wins, then he proceeds to just never be on TV. Don Callis is sort of out. He not doing anything. Everything's so cold, and now with Jericho beating him in the home promotion, he's completely cooled off, like 100% now.
Okay, I have thoughts on this. So I knew the result before I watched it, and I had all of those same thoughts. Didn't understand the booking decision. I didn't. I felt I had all of those same thoughts. I was 100% with you. Then I watched the match.
The match was phenomenal.
Not just was the match good, but within the story of the match, Jericho should have won. The story that they were telling, the match that they forward was, Jericho was the quote-unquote right winner of that match that they put together. I think the biggest thing that Don Callis wasn't there.
That's another issue.
Oh, well, to me, that's not an issue. To me, that's why Takeshita lost.
You could make that you could make that argument. If Takeshita, let me put it this way. If Takeshita was coming off those Omega wins and on TV frequently, continuing to get his heat, Callis was the manager, as he was doing a good job with, and they had continued that momentum, and he's been a featured story within this Omega, Jericho, Takeshita thing, then leading into the match, and that way you have Takeshita already have credibility. Like, because the Omega win was so important, we kept building off it, and then the story of Jericho going to the home promotion and beating him makes so much more sense. I personally would not do it that way, where Takeshita's in front of his home crowd and losing to a 50-plus-year-old man who's on the back end of his career, etc. You know, the optics aren't good, but we haven't been that way at all. Takeshita's never on TV. Don Callis is not there. He wasn't in Japan. Now the loss puts a nail in the coffin to the story that they were trying to tell.
Okay, so I feel like all the good guys have to win at some point. I don't want them to win the blow off. So I'm less mad with the result now, having watched the match. I think your argument is completely valid, and it's like I said, it's all the same thoughts that I had. But since watching the match and watching the story, in-ring story, I'm not mad at the result anymore. Still not the decision I would have made, and I wouldn't have booked match that way, and I wouldn't have left Don Callis at home, and I mean, there's a ton of stuff I wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
But
so I'm not saying you can't recover after this, not at all. What needs to be done, and I'll just lay out an example of something that they could do if they wanted. Love the pop top there.
Oh, sorry. I was just trying to tighten my ponytail.
Let's say I'll give you a perfect example of how they could play off this further and have a good payoff. And then they can kick the story back into gear. Is you got the Continental Classic that we just discussed. Jericho and Takeshita are in it. They're on opposite sides of the block, and I think that's a good-ass final, and Takeshita wins.
You want in the final? Takeshita and
Jericho. And then you have the story of Jericho went to his home promotion and beat him. So can Takeshita win again? And you can now have Callis there and all that. That's just like a top of my head example of continuing that storyline and playing off it. Or it could come down to they're in the same block. Say that you don't want that final, right? they're in the same block.
Yeah.
And it comes down to the very last match where Jericho and Takeshita are both like 3-0. Or I guess it would be 4-0.
Okay.
And one of them has to win, and that winner goes to the finals.
I think that's fine. Both of those are fines and good ways to work with what we have. But I don't want to see Jericho in this tournament.
I'm just using it as an example to get the story back into gear.
I know.
And what better way
really
is a vessel that it would make the tournament be serious too.
Yeah.
So that's very important.
I don't know. Don't love it.
Okay. Let's talk about New Japan, eh?
Wait, I wanted to tell you what else I watched from DDT.
Oh, what you got?
So
shall I play a DDT drop real quick?
I mean, if you want to.
I do want to. Here we go.
Okay, great. For it. Should have done this before we got it. Oh yeah, what the fuck just happened? Holy shit.
Am I crackling?
That was terrifying.
Am I still here?
It's still crackly.
Uh-oh.
It's still crackling.
All right, hold on.
Yeah, do you need to...
Perfect. Fix the mic and everything, and we come back in coughing hard.
He goes 3, 2, 1, and I'm like, no!
All right, what'd you watch from DDT?
Oh, I don't even remember now. Okay. So did I watch? We watched a little bit of the women's 6-man match. Not the whole thing. We're trying to get to I was just trying to get to the main event, and then I kept getting distracted by stuff. So I actually really loved I don't know how to say his name. The guy who had been in NXT with the jacket. I don't know how to say his new name. Kuroshio Tokyo Japan, I think is his name. He had been in NXT.
You're talking about Jiro. You're talking about that guy.
Jiro, yeah. It's his NXT name. I had to click on it because I didn't know it. His entrance was fucking amazing. There was like 10 to 15 minutes of just nonsense before the bell rang.
Oh yeah, that's DDT.
And the match was like fine. It was really fun. I'm watching this, and Jason's watching. We're having a good time. And I looked over at him and I go, shit. I never fucking realized that Lucha Libre and Laughs is just the DDT of independent wrestling, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, sure is. Why do you think I love it so much?
Yep.
But it is because it has silly shit like this, and then you get a quality match like Jericho Takeshita, like we had this month with Royce Isaacs and Simon Gotch, which, by the way, is now available on the Lucha Libre and Laughs YouTube. So I implore all of you to seek out that match and watch it and let me know what you think.
All right, let's see. Add in it's to the watch later.
So aside from that, we did watch the retirement match, like you mentioned. We saw Miyu Yamashita coming out, and we're like, "Yep, we're gonna watch this." Then realized that it was an important match.
It has 102 views so far. Oh, the Royce Isaacs Brian Keith match. Ooh, gonna add both those.
That one's excellent.
Yeah. All right. Save to watch later.
I would recommend both of those.
Save to watch later. All right. Cool. Done.
Perfect. Great. I can't wait to hear what you have to say, and if the listeners watch, I definitely want to hear about it too. So I'm going to go back and listen to whatever you had to say about the retirement match, because I'm going to go into that. And then I had to watch something called Dramatic Dream Round Let's Have Fun, What Will Happen Fun Deathmatch. Of course I watched this. Of course I watched it. Because I love fun. It's called the Fun Deathmatch. Did you watch this, JD?
No, I skipped most of DDT.
Oh man, it's so fun. Hiromu Takahashi just doesn't under. It has a 9.17 on Cage Match from viewers.
Yeah, the meme ratings. They'll do that.
Yeah, I love meme wrestling. Leave me alone. It was so fucking fun. So not only did I knew in advance that his junior heavyweight title belt won the belt from him.
Yeah.
I had known that. So I was like, but let me figure out how he watches. So there's 5 rounds of this match.
Oh, God.
And they're all random stipulations. There's a dancing match. There's a handicap match where Yoshihiko is the opponent's tag partner and Takahashi is outnumbered by the two of them. At one point, they were wrestling blindfolded in bras. I love DDT. I love it. I fucking love it. It was fucking great.
Should watch it more often.
Really should. I forgot how much I love DDT.
DDT is way more fun when you're watching with other people.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like going to a stand-up comedy show. It's not fun alone. Right. Then I skipped Matt Cardona, unfortunately, because I was just trying to get to the other matches that I was told to watch. And I did get to Jericho Takeshita. Like I said, it just reminded me how much I love meme wrestling. And again, there are slices of excellent wrestling in between. You get those spots between Yamashita and what's her face who retired, and you get the Jericho Takeshita match, and you get there's quality mixed in, and it's totally my jam. I will be watching more DDT for sure. Jason won't always watch the indie stuff with me anymore. He gets kind of wrestled out after a while. I can get him to sit down and watch DDT for sure.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay, New Japan. Here we go.
Yeah.
Any excuse to play a little Mayu Iwatani. So let's start with Power Struggle, and then we can... let's start with the World Tag League lineups here, because I'm actually into it this year. I'm going to watch it, and I usually give it a nice little punt. I'm going to start with B Block.
Super into it. I have a major complaint, but go through it.
Oh, okay. So we got Bad Luck, Fale, and I guess someone from his dojo called Jack Bonza.
Yeah, that's my major complaint right there. It's
one team in the grander scheme.
It's one team, but he left out the West Coast Wrecking Crew. Could have filled that spot with Royce Isaacs and Darrell Nelson, and it would have been infinitesimally better in my mind.
Let me take a closer look at A Block when we get there, and let's see if there's a team.
To be fair, Bad Luck Fale is a New Japan. He contracted New Japan talent. Because Wrecking Crew are New Japan strong. Get that. Logically, if that's the decision that had to be made, it had to be made. But I am standing up right now for the West Coast Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, I guess my opinion will be more swayed on how Jack Bonza performs. Archer Zane's
I don't know
team.
that person, so
yeah, I don't know. It's someone from his dojo, I assume.
Yeah, we'll see.
Atlantis Jr. and Soberano Jr. So this is funny because I watch CMLL these days, and Soberano Jr. just did a big heel turn on Atlantis, and you'd love this Soberano heel character because it's the pompous ass that you just want to boo. He's showing up in sports cars. He's got the women. It's great. Yota Tsuji has a mystery partner. Very curious about that one.
I didn't spot that. Cool.
Yeah. Taichi and Uemura are a team. I'm into that. Hikuleo and Phantasmo. Yeah, it's okay, I guess. Nagata Suzuki, Old Man Beat You Up team. Love that. Goto Yoshihashi, they're solid. They've won a couple times. And then A Block. Bishop Quan, Toa Leona, Gates of Agony. Kind of like that.
Yeah. I'm psyched for that.
I like the sending there. That's good. Kaito Kiyomiya and Oiwa. That's hilarious to me with the Noah burial being with a rookie.
Yeah.
It's funny. True. Evil and Yujiro. That's a team I could live without every day. I don't need that. Coughlin Kid. I like this team. The team of hot butts. That's what that is. Camera loves them butts.
Not just the camera.
Yeah. TMDK. Ooh. Great Okan Hinari. I like this team actually a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Ishii and Yano. Don't give a shit about that one. I'd rather... You know what? West Coast Wrecking Crew instead of that team. That's my pick.
Which team do you want to replace?
Ishii and Yano.
Oh, yeah, that would be fine too. I just think West Coast Wrecking Crew should be there.
And then Shota, Umino, and Ren Narita. So this was my major thought going through Tag League, is the card for Wrestle Kingdom, I think, is incredibly underwhelming. And all I could think of up and down that card is what I was thinking about New Japan all this year, and Yota Tsuji going at Dominion was like, to me, one of the hottest stories within the company of the year. And he's just kind of been losing ever since his comeback, right? Ever since he debuted, essentially. And I'm like, we have Tamatanga, Shingo, openweight title. Why can't... Like, if I'm just going up and down this card, Umino, Narita, Tsuji, Great Okan, we'll get to him. Like, all these guys are essentially doing nothing on this on a show like Wrestle Kingdom, while we have to go back to these X matches that we've seen time and time again that you're either tired of or they just weren't any good to really begin with. I went back and watched a few, basically all of the Sonata title matches when I was ill, and I finished out the other day. And I'm like, okay, maybe his title reign isn't like lighting the world on fire in the hype factor, but the matches have all been good. And I can't call him a bust as a champion. Now, is he interesting to you and all that? You know. To me, no. Maybe to the New Japan fans he is. Sure seems that way to a certain level and degree. But now going back to the Tag League, I think Umino and Narita should win A Block, and Tsuji and whoever his mystery partner in should win B, and then one of those teams wins.
You have theories on the mystery partner?
No, not really.
It's going to be just a singles guy, right? That
could be anybody, I suppose. I just hope it's someone good.
Okay, let's speculate wildly right now. Who has he been having drama with?
I mean, Shingo's a workhorse. I suppose he could be someone from there.
Ooh, I would like Shingo.
He's kind of busy at Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, see, here's the thing. Like, I don't know. Maybe he gets someone from CMLL. That'd be cool.
Oh, maybe.
That'd be neat. Teton joined. Yeah, Teton would work, wouldn't he? Any levels anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for Tag League. I'm very curious. I'm going to be punting a couple of those teams there. Not watching those matches, but you get the idea. Power Struggle. What'd you think?
Okay. So Power Struggle. I think I only watched matches you told me to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Which was Ospreay Umino. And what was the one before that?
Great Okan Moxley.
Oh, yeah. I can't take a big breath like that. It hurts too much. I was about to laugh really hard. So you told me to watch Ocon Moxley, and the match ends on a count out with them brawling. And I was like, okay, that's really funny. I'm so glad JD told me to watch that. That's hilarious. But then they restarted it with False Count Anywhere. And brutal. I mean, spots, which, you know, I love. And Chris Charlton said what we were all thinking, that it's a day that ends in Y, therefore Moxley is bleeding.
Right. What'd you think of the new announcer? He's like 22 or something crazy.
I was, oh my God, I was going to ask you the same thing. I'm so glad you brought it up. I thought he's very, the limited, I mean, I only watched the 2 matches. I didn't sit through a whole show with him. From the limited viewing, I thought he was very good. A completely different type of announcer than Kevin Kelly, which is fine. I hate when people replace people with like wannabes. I like when people make things their own. I looked it up and saw that he was only 21. I to myself, shit, could do this for the next 50 years if he's good at it. No, like seriously, legitimately,
40,
he
right?
could.
He could do it for 40.
At least if people like him and he's good at it and whatever. I thought he was fine, like better than fine. I mean, I didn't realize he was only 21. It doesn't show. He sounds like he has a wealth of experience. Obviously, a lot of stats are researched and handed to. I don't know if these play-by-play guys do their own stat research, or if there's a stat person that hands it to them.
They do. It's usually a combo of them doing their own, and then they interview other people that are experts to inform them.
Sure. So, like, I mean, no, you're not really a baseball guy, but it's one of my favorite sports. And what I love about baseball,
I love baseball.
Thought you weren't. What?
I bitch about the Rockies all the time. Are you kidding me?
But everybody bitches about the Rockies. It doesn't mean you're a baseball fan.
Yeah, I'm always locked in on baseball every year.
Okay.
The only sport I don't like is the NFL. Like American football.
Okay, that's where we were. Okay. Yeah. One of the things I love about baseball, first of all, the first thing that I love about baseball is that as old as the game is, there's always a possibility you can see something that has never been done before. And that is fucking cool. But the main thing that I love about baseball, I love random statistics. I love important statistics like, batting average, RB,
Oh yeah.
Actual baseball statistics that I don't have any acronyms in my head right now because I have COVID and I can't think clearly. But I loved, the one that always sticks out in my brain because it was so specific, and you get these types of stats all the time. When Ubaldo Jimenez pitched a perfect game in like whatever year that was, like 20 years ago now, he came up on the screen with a stat about pitchers whose first names start with the letter U. I just fucking love that shit. And I felt like that, like I said, I only watched these 2 matches, but I felt like that was the type of commentary I was getting from this new guy. What's his name? Walker? Remember his name? Anyway.
Larry Walker?
No, not Larry Walker. Isn't this announcer's first name?
Oh, okay. Why was I still in Rockies mode?
I did go to Todd Helton's retirement game, though, but that's because it was on August 17th, which it was on my 30th birthday, which happened to be the 17th of August. So, and he's 17, so that was fun. But anyway, he was just pulling stats out left and right, and I loved that. So probably not the thing for
I knew
I
wasn't crazy. Jimenez has not thrown a perfect game. He threw a no-hitter.
No-hitter. Oh my God. Thank you for looking that up because I'm... thank you.
I was like, am I remembering this wrong?
I remembered it as a perfect game.
He tossed the first and only no-hitter in Rockies history as they defeated the Braves 4-0, yeah.
It was before I was in Colorado, well before I was in Colorado. What year was that?
2010. So it's been 13 years.
Okay, so it was actually right before I moved to Colorado. We're actually a decent team that year and the year before. We're close to making the playoffs in 2010. Very, very close. Obviously, 2009, they had a good season. But anyway.
They had a hot August and September.
Sorry for the baseball tangent, but my point was this commentator is using a lot of stats, and I liked that. Blame the COVID fog and the fact that I'm drinking red wine because it helps my fever. And then the other person on commentary, so it's Chris Charlton, new guy. It's Walker something, right? Walker?
Something
Walter?
like that. Yeah.
And Robbie Eagles was on commentary too, and he was very fun.
I like Eagles on commentary. He's all right. So anyways.
He was very
From
fun.
Great Okan on up, I quite enjoyed Power Struggle, like quite a lot. I like the tag. Now, am I as high as Dave Meltzer ratings? I am not. I'm not that high on those things, but I wanted to talk.
I am that high.
I wanted to talk about the Great Okan and my feeling, because the thing about Power Struggle is there's always these big angles and stuff, and to heat up for Wrestle Kingdom, and oh boy did we get one at the end. But when it came to the Moxley Okan match, and this is why I want to concentrate on this, is when I saw Moxley cutting off part of his hair, and they're brawling, and they went to that initial count out, and then it went to a ref decision at the end after another 14 minutes. And I'm like, oh man, let's run something like this back at Wrestle Kingdom. Hair versus hair, or some major stip. Maybe Great Okan has something in mind where he wants he wants Shingo, and they'll, it's title versus hair. Those were the thought processes going through my head of how to come out of this match super hot for Great Okan and possibly run it back with Moxley with something. And they did none of that. And now we don't even know if Okan's even going to have any sort of role on Wrestle Kingdom. That's for a lot of guys that I'd really be interested in seeing. Hiromu, Desperado, they're just going back to there. I get it, but it feels ice cold is the point of that. And then we get Ospreay Umino in the main event. Meltzer went 5 3/4. That's pretty absurd. I'm not anywhere near that high. I went 4.5.
I was not that high on it.
I
thought it was very good. I thought it was very good, and I'm glad you suggested I watched it. I think so. Early on in the match, I had literally, as the words were coming out of my mouth, is Red Shoes allowed to officiate this match? Commentary was like, and the elephant in the room is that Red Shoes is the official. I was like, okay, good.
Yeah, it's a repeating story with Umino and his dad roughing his matches.
So I'm glad that was important, and it came up periodically throughout the match too. So that was good. So details, I love them. And sorry again, I'm just foggy. So if I pause or lose my train of thought, I'm so sorry, folks. But all I could think was how much Shooter has improved when we first started watching him. The fact that he could, I don't want this to sound condescending, but the fact that he could be brought to a match of this level, I don't think he could have a match like this with, a mid-carder, but the fact that he could keep up with that Ospreay could carry to this match, I think is really telling about his talent and his potential. So I'm very glad you suggested that I watch, and I thought it was very, very good.
Yeah, the thing about this match and Will Ospreay in particular is he's got his formula down for guys that are on the come up and knows how to work the match to highlight them as an opponent and to make Ospreay feel like a major boss you have to overcome. It's his, I call it his Rev Pro formula, because this is how he's gotten a lot of Rev Pro guys over in losing to him. Because he's still approaching prime time of era of his career and being the biggest star. So this is a case where I'm very okay with Ospreay winning as opposed to the Takeshita Jericho match, because the story, as Umino, isn't there yet.
Sure.
At this level. He lost to Naito in that very boring match. Tsuji has lost to Sonata. That match was better than Umino Naito. And part of the story was Ospreay goes, "You don't want to lose to me a fourth time, do you?" So it was a big trend throughout the match of Umino constantly trying to fight from underneath and utilizing major spots. I mean, he got busted open at one point, and the big turning point for me, which really kicked it higher, was when Ospreay traps his arms in between his legs. And then he's about to just beat the shit out of him with forearms, and Moxley hits ringside, and he's cheering him on. And I'm like, see? That's, to me, storytelling. Right there. That's what we're talking about. That's how you get invested. And Moxley and Umino aren't just like a tandem together, or Ospreay and Moxley just don't have their rivalry. It's a long-standing relationship that Moxley and Umino have to be the best, and for Moxley to be like a mentor for the guy. So he's out there ringside and he's cheering him on. He just kind of pops up. That's good stuff. So Ospreay,
100%.
To me, the three most outstanding. Well, I have four actually. To me, the four most outstanding wrestlers in 2023, from what I've seen, is Ospreay, Omega, Moxley, and Templario in CMLL. It's those four guys. Danielson was there, but he's gotten injured, so he's kind of fallen off. So it used to be five, now it's just four. These guys are pulling away. Every time I watch those four guys wrestle, and they're all just incredibly different styles from each other, obviously. I'm so enthralled with everything they do, and it's the way they are able to format their matches and to rope you into their in-ring stories. And the storylines surrounding them are generally very good as well. Ospreay is just an incredible wrestler through in and throughout. If he retires tomorrow, I'm voting him in the Hall of Fame, right? Speaking of Hall of Fame, by this episode coming out in a few days, 7 new people will be in the Observer Hall of Fame, so we'll see how many of my people I voted for get in there. So we'll see. I did turn in my ballot. If you want to listen to the Hall of Fame audio I did with the guys at One Nation Radio, that's on all the feeds available. It's on the Patreon for free. It's on Red Leaf Retrocast, main feed, RLR Proper, AJW Destiny. It's on everywhere. So go seek that out. It's 3 hours of Hall of Fame discussion talking about histories of wrestlers. Let's blast through, since you didn't watch the Texas show, Lonestar Shootout, so I can just quickly, briefly mention.
Yeah,
that.
right when you said you were ready to record, I had started ZSJ versus Mike Bailey, and I'm as soon as we're done recording, I'm going to go back and start that match because I love them both. And the fact that you recommended Mike Bailey, I know you're not like the highest on him. So.
Oh my god, he's such a dork.
And that's why I love him.
To a degree that it's infuriating. Because it's like, yes, I also like many of the same things.
Endearing.
No,
endearing.
It's
endearing.
No. Okay, he cuts a promo before the Zack match, okay? And he's like in his, I don't know, bedroom or something. Yeah. He's got all the...
He's in his little nerd cave with all the stuff behind him.
With all that. And his reasoning for winning the match and wanting to win the title is bragging about watching 80 hours of TV a week.
Wants to watch diners, drive-ins, and dives with the belt around his waist.
And what I wanted to do was made me think, this is how bullies are made.
Him in the face?
Yeah, I was like, this is how bullies are made. That's what I wanted to do. I was like, I wanted to steal his lunch money and give him a swirly. Uh-oh. Still there? Am I breaking up?
I found it endearing. I think it's you. My connection looks good to me.
I'll click out and back
in. It could be my. Let me know.
Am I back?
Yeah, I hear you. I don't see you, but I hear you.
Yeah. Well, I guess the video's gone. So, Zach and Mike Bailey. Oh, I didn't mention the power struggle main angle. David Finlay came out and destroyed the U.S. titles.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, yeah.
Well, of course. Obviously, that's where
not that he
going.
Obviously did it. Obviously, we need to talk about it. Sorry.
Yeah. And just when we thought we were rid of main event David Finlay of some capacity, now we have a three-way at Wrestle Kingdom, which looks to be slated to be second or third from the top with Moxley and Ospreay. And we can't just have Moxley and Ospreay? Or
I don't want to just see. No, I don't care. I'm fine with it.
Ospreay has 1 foot out the door of this company. And yes, we have the Umino match. You can't take that away from him. But at Wrestle Kingdom, our final Ospreay match, possibly with the company, is in a three-way in which David Finlay is looking like he's a sure thing to win. It's baffling. I don't get it. So much of this Wrestle Kingdom card is just, I don't get it. We'll see how it does. So Sabre and Bailey had what I would describe as a 2018 Progress Wrestling match, and it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Zach wins at 15,
I can't wait to finish.
14:54. Strong finish. Trent Beretta, he is a 5-star wrestler on Friday nights, and he proved it here again against Shingo Takagi in the main event.
Friday nights, yeah, he sure
Friday
is.
Night Trent, man. Don't doubt him.
And what was that match he had on Rampage that was so good? Had a great Garcia?
That sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, that was excellent. Of course, 5-star Trent.
And then Mayu Iwatani defeats Stephanie Vakir, 11 minutes, 30 seconds. Match was a little short. I have theories about like why the match went to that time frame, the structure of it. They definitely kept it super simple. Semi-main event spot. I think, obviously there's a language barrier here between Japanese and Spanish.
Okay.
That's rough to get through.
Sure.
So they kind of knew like what the finish would be, and I could totally see this just being an absolute language barrier, just nightmare of trying to put something together. And they kept it simple. They played their hits. They got a couple near falls in there. It was solid as fuck. Anywhere I could see someone going anywhere from 3.5 to 4 stars flat on it. And ended up going a generous full 3 rec on Iwatani Vakir because there was nothing absolutely wrong with the wrestling. It was the match I was most hyped for. And I was incredibly, I definitely talked myself up for it, and it paid off because in my head, the big moment in the match was Vakir hitting her double knees into the corner, in which she buries people with that in CMLL constantly, and that's a huge finisher. And I've never seen anyone kick out of it. Well, Iwatani in this match kicked out of it. So I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. That's what we're talking about. So it's definitely given me a different perspective on how I am looking at wrestling, is just taking on a different booking style, and expectations are much lower, as in how I am to kind of visualize the match playing out in front of me. Yes, I do wish it went longer. I wish it had a few other, there's an instance in here where Stephanie Vakir grabs Iwatani by the hair. As Iwatani's about to run the ropes, she grabs her back by the hair and then hoists her for a German, like all the way across the ring. Like if there was a couple more instances of like that kind of work, then we're looking at 4 to 4.5 without question. But it didn't reach that level. That's why I'm kind of like, okay, 3.5 type range. It got what you wanted. It's a very, very solid women's match, and it's one of the better ones in North America this year.
I can't wait to watch it. I'm trying to digest more women's wrestling since I'm not getting it on the shows I actually watch.
What, you're not getting your women's wrestling watching WCW 2000?
No, and since AEW 2023 is basically WCW 2000, I'm not getting it there either.
Well, it's not that bad yet. Let's not be crazy. I'm burying AEW a lot too these days.
Parallels are eerie, though. No. Obviously it's not that bad, but as far as women's wrestling goes, I'm not getting it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that one. Also, I think I've mentioned it here before that Stephanie Vecchia is the women's champion in the Lucha promotion that we have out here that I still have yet to make my way to. But ever since finding out that information, I'm way more motivated to go to a show. Excuse me.
Well, let's blast through Superbrawl 2000 here. I'm going to play the drop, and we can end our pain. End the night.
Let's go.
Oh, God. Playing this dreadful music. If it'll ever load. Finally, maybe?
You playing?
It's like loading. It's taking forever. I don't understand why. It's just the Nitro theme from 2000. It's just that awful guitar. It's just not loading. It's gonna go. Oh, there it goes. Finally. Okay, so we guessed the card. The show was horrible, like incredibly bad.
Did we guess you guessed the card because I didn't watch the episode before.
Yeah, I guessed the card, and I got.
What'd you do?
I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5 matches correct, and the rest of the card I had no idea.
Okay.
I mean, that's a better hit rate than some of those 1998 99 pay-per-views, but
yeah.
Okay. I gotta talk about this before I forget about it, because there was so many like weird segments and talking segments and people being locked behind doors so they can't interact with each other. Then a mystery door, and I'm just like, what? Are we supposed to care about this? Does the audience in the crowd know anything about this? There was so many audio issues, fake crowd noise. Mark Madden is insufferable on commentary with his double entendres and constantly making sexual references like all the time. There's just an absurd amount of just women with huge tits just walking around everywhere. And it's like an encapsulation of this company is desperate for ratings, desperate for anything. Yeah. Vince Russo's not even there right now, but Ed Ferrara is really keeping the charge.
Do we know what the buy rate was for this pay-per-view?
0.15. An atrocity. It was horrible.
Yikes.
Yeah. So there's a segment that goes on for like...
When you say, I say buy rate like I know what it means. It's not what does that mean in relation to like how many people bought it? Like what does buy rate actually mean?
So
how many people bought? It's relative to something, right? 0.15 is a percentage.
Yeah, it's the percentage of available homes that could purchase the show. So the 0.15, okay. I believe, in the late 90s, early 2000s was out of 1,000 or 1,000,000. I can't quite remember.
Well,
but
okay.
let me pull up just year over year, okay, to give you an idea.
Pull up year over year, and I'm just gonna pull up AEW pay-per-view.
Well, they don't go by buy rates; they just go by total buys in the modern era.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, buy rate was a very 90s, early 2000s thing. Okay, so Superbrawl 9 and 8 and 7, because 7 was during their hottest period. 8 was still hot in terms of buying stuff. 7 had a 0.74 in 1997.
Okay.
In 1998, it had a 1.12, also at the Cow Palace, so the same building with
same venue,
12,600 people. This one had an alleged 8,500. Yeah. Superbrawl 9 in 1999 had 1.1. Okay. So we're all hovering around 1, right?
1.
Even a little higher, 1.1.
Got it.
In 2000, we're down to a 0.15.
Got it. Okay, thank you. I needed to hear it in perspective to something.
The pay-per-view audience is completely gone.
Wow.
In less than a year. It's absent. That's the point. So you were right with your, I
mean, I knew it sounded bad the way you delivered the news, but, okay. This starts with...
I have to go straight to this segment, right in the middle of this 3.5 hour pay-per-view. With they're teasing James Brown is going to be there all show.
Oh my god!
And I just kept thinking to myself, why do we care? And they're making it seem like it's this big deal, and it's this in storyline to the pay-per-view, like it's an episode of Nitro. And the Maestro,
felt like an episode of Nitro.
Yeah, the Maestro, the guy who plays the piano in the back that never wrestles.
Liberace guy.
Yeah, Liberace guy. He's calling out Ernest the Cat Miller, saying he's calling him a liar that he's going to present James Brown. And he did this multiple times.
That's what? Didn't present James Brown.
Oh, but wait, there's more. So the cat gets in the ring, he says, I have James Brown. It's a guy in a fake suit and stuff. The Maestro comes out. Reveals, it's not actually James Brown, haha. And they do a horrible, horrible skit straight out of WWE and AEW in the modern era. And it's oh yeah, says who? Yeah. And then you hear awkwardly over an intercom in the building, says me! And you go, okay, is James Brown coming out? So they hit some music. Then a bunch of women and dudes come out to dance. And they stand on the ramp and minutes go by. And just no one's coming out.
I mean, it's an eternity. Yeah.
And we see a couple people more come from the back and get in the little line. Finally, James Brown does emerge from the back. And it's 6 rapid camera cuts of James Brown walking, music playing. It goes back to the ring, shows the cat happy, goes back to Brown, goes back to the cat, goes back to Brown, goes back to the Maestro, who now they're showing having a seizure. Just screaming, then goes back to Brown, back to the cat, back to Brown, and then all of a sudden, the Maestro's on the ground unconscious. And then back to Brown, and then the Maestro disappears from the ring.
Yeah, I followed literally none of that. And then James Brown, I guess, kind of cut a promo. I don't even know what words came out of his mouth. He steps out of the ring. This took 25 minutes. This whole thing, it was so excruciatingly long, and literally nothing happened.
No, he came in. He said no words. He said, "I feel good" a bunch of times, and the cat takes the mic and they do a tap dance off, and then they leave.
Yeah.
I was baffled.
I don't know what the point of teasing him was. Like, didn't tease him before the pay-per-view to like increase buy rate. Like, the whole pay-per-view felt like an episode of Nitro. Like, I forgot that this was a pay-per-view multiple times. It was so bad. It was so hard to watch. I didn't actually watch most of it. I had it on. I wasn't watching.
What was there to watch? Every match was like 4 minutes until and every match was like basically a hardcore match or some sort of interference.
There were stipulations for everything. The first match didn't even happen until 15 minutes into the show.
Oh my god, okay. So here's the thing that they're doing with like Nitro and this pay-per-view is, okay, so this is another encapsulation of what they're doing with like Nitro and this pay-per-view. They'll start off with a long recap of like everything that's happening. God help you if you can keep up with it all. And then what happens is they play the same recap reel before every one of these matches. And it just goes on forever. I'm like, this is modern day WWE. This is what I hate about it. It just takes forever to get to the bell. What makes it worse in WCW is every match is like only 4 minutes. So the recaps are almost as long as the matches. Why do we need these so many? It's like, I just watched the recap at the start of the show. Why are you showing this to me 8 more times? They did it on Nitro, where they do a recap, and they show you the recap again later.
Yep.
Like, why? Anyways. Prince Iakea... Oh, I'm sorry. The artist formerly known as Prince Iakea with Paisley, who is Booker T's future wife, by the way, defeats Lashley in a 5-minute bad match for the vacant Cruiserweight title that Oklahoma... Did Oklahoma win this one? Someone vacated it. Who vacated this thing?
Oklahoma vacated the title. Oklahoma vacated the title because
didn't he win the women's title?
Nor a wrestler. No, he won the Cruiserweight belt from Medusa in that horrible misogynistic fucking piece of garbage.
Okay, I was right the first time. Yeah, Medusa had it, and then Oklahoma won. Yeah, okay, right. Yep. Cool. Brian Knobbs defeats Bam Bam Bigelow in 4 minutes with copious interference from Fit Finlay for reasons.
I don't...
Are you hardcore? Yeah, we're hardcore.
Reasons? I don't know.
Norman Smiley loses to 3 count. That's Evan Courageous, Shane Helms, and Shannon Moore.
Yeah,
in a 3-on-1 handicap match in 4 minutes.
Why would he even take that match? What was the point of that? I don't... What? Why?
And then he came in injured because the Wall chokeslammed him.
Right, and then the Wall has a match against the Kiss Demon for no reason.
No, there was a reason. The Wall is being pushed. Naturally, he loses though randomly.
He won. The Wall wins.
No. He was losing like on Thunder and Nitro and stuff.
Oh, right.
Oh my God, that's the other thing. So even though we don't watch Thunder. And it feels like I'm missing like years of my life in the show because so much shit happens. Like just on the last Nitro episode, I go, we didn't watch Thunder, and there was like a million things that happens all the way from Hulk Hogan re-debuting on the show, and he's been missing for months. Yeah. So the Wall defeats the Kiss Demon in 3 minutes. Horrible. And this is my... I've decided this was the worst match on the show. This next one. The Skins match. Tank Abbott defeats Big Al in 4.5 minutes.
Holy cow. Okay.
This is my vote for worst on the show.
This was... I still don't understand what their relationship is.
Okay. So, reminder for those listening.
No, don't.
No, I have to.
It's not even worth it. It's not worth it.
No, because I got it from the recap. Because I watched Nitro and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Because I didn't know what a Skins match is. And I felt like they never explained it.
Okay.
I got to build it up. I have to.
That because I figured out.
This was horrid. This was an atrocity. They I watched this in 2023, and I want my money back. I want $40 for watching this. So Tank Abbott's in WCW. He's punching people out in one shot. Okay. In the crowd, randomly on a Nitro, they go, "That's Big L. He was his running buddy and manager in UFC." I'm like, okay. Big Al doesn't like Tank Abbott in WCW. Okay. Well, Tank Abbott has some more matches, and they look at each other and yell, and I'm just going, okay. Then Tank Abbott cuts a interview on Nitro, and he says, he wants the skin off my back. And Mike Tenay's like, what's your skin? And he points at his leather jacket. I go, okay, I don't know what any of that means. I missed the part where they said what the skins match was. Okay. So my eyes grew so big when I saw a leather jacket on a pole.
Yeah.
And they explained to me,
yeah,
they have to beat each other up and then go get the jacket off the pole to be the winner. And that was slapping myself in the face, just going, oh, God.
Yeah.
And are you asking, is Big Al a wrestler? No.
Is he a wrestler?
He's not. Okay. So what are they doing on pay-per-view? I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what they're doing. But I just watched possibly one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. An untrained person in the ring against Tank Abbott, who all he can do is... a
literal destroyer of worlds, eater of worlds, whatever. Yeah. Fucking terrifying, man.
Yeah. So Big Al sucker punches Tank Abbott. They do a whole he's unconscious thing. And Big Al proceeds to awkwardly try to straddle him against the post, do the whole pull his nuts into the post thing. And he goes, "No, not today. He's too good for that." He gets back in the ring. He stands on his face all weird. Tank Abbott gets up. He punches him a few times. Then he puts him on his shoulders for I don't know what reason. He then starts to go up to the top in the corner where the pole is.
Oh.
And when they get to the top, he fucking they fall. Big Al goes for a tumble.
Okay, Big Al goes, oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm like, he's dead.
Yeah.
And
it's
Tank
so
Abbott
bad.
And Tony Schiavone just couldn't help himself. So Tank Abbott sees that he drops this guy 10 feet to the floor awkwardly, where he tumbles down like Humpty Dumpty. And Tank Abbott jumps off the apron, goes over, and punches him in the back really hard. And Tony Schiavone goes, "Gotta make sure he's down."
Yep. I mean, it was best he could do in the situation. But
so Tank Abbott goes to the top, gets his jacket, and he can't put it on because his gloves are too thick.
Yep.
And they walk away. I was just going, wow, what a ride that was. Big T defeats Booker T in a Rights to Harlem Heat match in which there was...
Oh my God.
Okay, so Stevie Ray, bad wrestler.
This wasn't a match.
No, it wasn't a match. Big T is fucking fat and enormous, and he does moves where he hurts people.
Huh?
Yeah. So Stevie Ray has what's called a flapjack finisher, and he ended Rick Martel's career doing it, broke his neck. Okay? Big T has injured people using essentially the a Falcon Arrow variation, where he can't actually turn the person over properly, so him and his big fat ass lands on people's faces all the time. Yep. Just like he did here with Booker T. Because an even more enormous fat guy came out to interfere and cost Booker the match. Hooray! Don't you love these stories?
Fucking trash.
All right. Billy Kidman defeats Vampiro. Any thoughts? 7 minutes, whatever. Okay.
Oh.
The Mamalukes. So Disco Inferno's on commentary.
Yeah.
It's Big Vito and Johnny the Bull. They've been screaming about doing it Italian style, and it's going to be a brawl.
Speaking of screaming.
I can't stand Daphne. I hate her so much.
Okay. I've been really on her side up to this point.
The second she's been on
over
TV,
the edge.
Oh yeah, her just shrieking ringside constantly for 11 minutes.
Yeah, and that's like not exaggeration at all. It was. I'm watching this in the living room, and Jason was doing something on his computer in the loft, which is lofted over the living room, but he has headphones in, and he had to holler down and be like, "What the fuck is going on down there? What is the screaming?" And I was like, "It's Daphne," and he goes, "Oh," like he knew, but like,
yeah.
Oh man, I've been totally on her side, and I generally still like the character, I think, but oh my god, there is a time and a place, people.
Oh yeah, she gets worse. So the Mamalukes against Crowbar and David Flair have what's called a Sicilian stretcher match.
What the fuck is this?
And I was just going, I don't know what. Okay. Well, they didn't even say stretcher match for the longest time. They just call it. They just calling it like a Sicilian street fight or something.
They said stretcher match, and they even said at the beginning that not only does he need to be on the stretcher, that the stretcher needs to leave the arena.
Yeah,
otherwise the match isn't going to end. This is what infuriates me, right? This is the stipulation.
It's so stupid.
It's a stretcher match, and the stretcher needs to leave the arena.
That's not even the funniest part.
Your story.
The funniest part is there.
Okay.
I mean, it's a hardcore match in which they just put a guy on a stretcher. They're just hitting each other with shit. There's nothing to it. It goes on entirely too long.
It's whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. The funniest shit is when they gotta strap Crowbar or David Flair to the stretcher, and then all they have to do is like look at the ref, and the refs will take the stretcher away out of the arena, out of the aisleway, and go to the back. And once they disappear from camera sight, just going to the back, they go, "Well, that's out of the arena. They're out."
No. They rang the bell when the stretcher was halfway up the ramp. That's why.
The first one. Yeah, he wasn't even gone yet. It's just ding ding. Like, what?
They're like, no, you specifically said the stretcher had to leave. No. Halfway up the ramp is good enough.
I just really laughed at the fact that the refs were the ones like taking him to the back.
It's just
so.
Why lay out rules
if you're not going to follow them?
Yeah, God, always.
Ric Flair defeats Terry Funk in a Texas death match. 15 minutes.
Wait. A Texas death match, you say?
Yeah, I do say. Hangman Page Swerve, this was not. This was old and sad. 1989 Flair and Funk was not that match. I mean, what do we say? They hit each other with shit, more of the same that we've seen across this pay-per-view. It wasn't good. It has a Ric Flair Terry Funk match has a 5 on Cage Match. Like, Hulk Hogan defeats Lex Luger in 8 minutes. Bro.
Oh.
What did people in Cage Match say to this? I gotta read one of them.
1.67.
Yeah. This was just flat out garbage. Luger's body was just demolished and he couldn't move as much. Hogan being face changed the dynamic in a terrible fashion. 3/4 of a star. Hogan returns without anything approaching an explanation of what the hell Halloween Havoc was. They did not address that at all. He's just a babyface. because he's got to get that babyface pop and those wins. Neither he nor Luger pushes the boat out in terms of what they can do, even considering how limited these two were. Age, steroids, blah, blah, blah. No. They don't really go into why the match happened. Whatever. Who cares? It was bad.
I don't even know why the match happened, but fuck it. It was fucking terrible.
Well, it was all about Sting and Lex Luger for a while, and then randomly on Nitro, Lex Luger just starts like making fun of Hulk Hogan, calling him washed. And then after like 2 weeks, Hogan shows up on Thunder, and here's the match. Keep your name out of your mouth, brother. Like, okay. They did a couple angles where Lex Luger was like breaking arms and stuff and whatever. Main event. This was absurd. This was 7 minutes of ref bumps. Sid Vicious defeats Jarrett and Scott Hall, in which Jarrett at the beginning of the show says, well, I'm the acting commissioner, because everyone can just assign themselves roles and power, says, I can now have the Harris brothers out there as backup. So it's Jeff Jarrett and his crones against Hall and Sid.
Yeah.
And let's see here. There was 6 ref bumps in the match. Copious interference. I think it was 6.
Okay.
4 of which Jeff Jarrett just gave the refs the stroke. Right? Because he's got the stroke. Mm-hmm. And then Sid just wins. Horrible. Horrible main event. Horrible show. What do you think was the worst one? In your opinion?
Worst match?
Yeah.
Or God, it was all so bad. It was so bad that, so you know how I normally take like super detailed notes when I watch WCW? I have 5 lines of notes from this.
That's 5 lines too many. WCW is so bad it doesn't deserve your notes.
Yeah. It was, I can't even tell you which.
So here's my top 3. Number 1 is Tank Abbott, Big Al. I hated that. Number 2 is Big T, Booker.
Terrible.
Because they have Booker also coming out to like Leave It to Beaver music or some shit.
Oh my God, yes. It was like this, like
why don't they just give them new... Anyways. And then the main event was my number 3. It was my top 3. All really bad. All atrocities.
There was no... Normally I can find something redeeming these shows that we watch.
Tori Wilson is a very beautiful woman. That's very redeeming.
Yeah. Yeah.
No? Maybe?
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just still thinking if I can pull anything else out of this trash heap. There's really nothing. The best I could say, I mean, no, I have nothing. I like Lash LaRue. Unfortunately, he was in the opening match, and so I was over that.
Yeah, unfortunately, he had to have a match against Prince Iaukea.
All downhill from there.
Yeah.
It was all downhill.
That was one of the better cage match voted matches at a 3.4.
And that's all it really deserved. It was not Lash LaRue's best match.